Hey guys, thank you so much for your patience. I hate being on CP time, but I was certainly on CP time. Y'all, I'm gonna tell you what was going on. This is one of the things that I like about social media and I like about keeping it real. You can be authentic, and if it's for you, you still gonna have it. So I am not doing the format that I wanted to do. The perfectionist in me is not having what I want, but I know everything works out for a reason. So the reason why I want to tell you guys this, the backstory stuff. Mama, do me a favor and hand me that table right there, please. That black table. The reason why I want to tell you guys this, because you wouldn't have known what I had planned. And I didn't have to disclose it. But the reason why I want to disclose it is to prove to you guys that I really do follow what I preach. Okay. I practice what I preach. And some of the things that I talk about is not trying to be a perfectionist, going with the flow, understanding that what's for you is for you. And so right now, the perfectionist in me is screaming because if y'all knew what I had planned, okay? If y'all knew what the level I had planned to do this as far as format and the graphics and like all this cool stuff that I had planned, you would understand why I'm so disappointed. But the Yonci that has gone through various things knows that everything works out for good, right? Everything that's supposed to happen is going to happen. And I just had the most amazing speaking engagement. It was actually my first official one, and it was awesome. I'm trying to figure out how to get back to my screen. You guys, I have a couple gentlemen who are going to be communicating. Oh, you're so awesome. They're going to be communicating with me. And I cannot even figure out how to get back to the settings where I could see them. Hold on one second, guys. Just bear with me 1 second. Let me figure this out. That's not doing anything. I have never had this where y'all, the screen is completely blank. So we have any tech support people, let me know why I cannot see the screen. Y'all, it's completely blank. There we go. I forgot you have to swipe right on your phone. Okay, that was bugging the mess out of me. But see, y'all, all my viewers, no one logged off. Okay, so we don't want to operate out of fear. Worst case scenario, people think, oh my God, this is going to blow up. It's not going to be what it's supposed to be. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And I know that this episode is going to be fire. And so I'm not going to trip off of what I thought it was going to be because it always ends up being great. You can do whatever's in your control, learn from what you can learn from, and then move forward. But I want to say that, I wanted to take the opportunity to say that to you guys because a lot of us miss our blessing or delay our blessing because we're trying to be in perfectionist mode, and not everything is perfection. So I wanted to say that. But next week, by the grace of God, I will have some really cool graphics, and the people that you're listening to will also be able to be seen. But it also ends up being a blessing that they can't be seen because, like that song, Let's Talk About Sex, we're going to get into some nitty gritty. And so these guys actually might benefit from not being on camera because they can be very, very authentic and candid. Okay. So what happens on a Zoom call stays in the Zoom call. Okay, fellas. So they know who they are because they can see each other, but we are going to just take this information. Now, the reason why I told you guys you don't want to miss this is because so often on social media or like dating coaches or what have you, it will be someone of one gender trying to teach the same gender about the opposite gender. How you gonna do that? Like, I need it coming straight out of the horse's mouth. So, okay, love, thank you so much. Make sure you chime in on the comments, Trinicia. Thank you for joining in. And by the way, shout out to Robert. Thank you guys for joining in. If you guys are watching, which obviously you're watching, those of you watching, please comment your city and state so I can shout you out. Getting back to what I was saying, so I have a group, and it's a private group. And what we do is we have conversations amongst ourselves. And I think that it's really important for us to hear it out of the horse's mouth. And I also think it's important to have more than one horse. No shade calling you guys horses. It's a metaphor. Because not all men are the same, just like women are not all the same. So I wanted you guys to be able to get your questions answered. That's why I'm super excited, because you're not just going to hear my take. You're going to hear from guys. And these are, legit guys. These aren't some losers. These are guys who are professionals who have their stuff together. And I think that you can apply it to apply it to the relationship that you currently have or that you might want to have in the future. All right. We got Dallas, Texas. We have Baton Rouge in the house. That's what's up. Super, super excited. All right, guys. So without further ado, let's get into it. I'm going to ask you guys, do you want to be called by your name, or would you like me to call you by your initial? Because like I said, we gonna get into it, sir. Sirs. All right, so let me know. I'm going to say...
Name is fine for me.
The name is fine for you.
Name is fine for me.
Name is fine for you. Okay. All right. Well, won't he do it? All right. We got someone watching from California. I love it. People know each other in the comments. I do lives. I do meet and greets, you guys. So I travel around sometimes. So a lot of us actually know each other. And those have been around for 6 years. Like they know me too. So let me know. I was gonna say thumbs up because I'm so used to my Facebook platform. But let me know in the comments if you guys, Robert said, won't he? Let me know in the comments if you can hear okay, because I am improvising. I'm having to use a Bluetooth speaker in connection to my Zoom call so you guys can hear. So let me know if you can hear. I'm gonna do you want to say your city and state? Okay, they say they can hear. Okay, guys. So let me get a testing 1, 2, 3 from each of you and make sure the people can hear.
Who's first?
TC.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Very nice radio voice. Okay, John.
Yeah, I can't beat that. Testing 1, 2, 3.
And Anthony.
Test 1, 2, 3.
Perfect. Okay. So no. Okay. Ooh, I actually hit a button. I almost lost y'all. Okay. So I'm also needing to make sure now, if you guys are watching this, some of you guys have the link. If you have the link and you guys want to join in as one of the guys giving your feedback, I get really into these interviews and these conversations, you guys. So, that's what's up. My biggest fan tuning from ATL. That's what's up. She said, ma'am, they sound fine. She laughing. Girl, don't laugh at me, Cammy. But if you guys are trying to get into the group, get into the call, and I'm not letting you in, let me know that you're trying to get in. Just comment like, let me in, girl. And then I'll know to come in here and let you in from the waiting room, okay? Because sometimes I forget to get back, especially if it gets juicy, and it's going to be spicy today. I already warned you guys. Okay. So can we get into this? We got another Dallas, Texas. Nice. Good. Okay. So thank you guys. And I'm going to say thank you to you, gentlemen. If you guys see me looking like this, it's because I'm looking at my phone for my Zoom call. Thank you guys for being so on standby, because I gave you barely information and I gave you the link like 15 minutes ago. So thank you for that. Y'all gonna save some people's lives in here. Okay. Oh, we got a Jersey City, New Jersey. That's what's up. Okay. So I just remembered that I have a minor in the room. Sweet, precious little baby girl. I'm gonna need you to go to the room for this one, because Mama's gonna have a grown folks conversation. Normally she can hear the conversation, but won't he do it? Okay. She said, "Want to do?" Go ahead and turn on that AC so it's nice and loud, and close the door. I done forgot she was in the room. What? Okay. All right. Y'all, she was gonna grow up today. She was gonna learn today. If you are a minor, this video is not made for you. I prefer everyone over 18 for this. Don't be scared, guys. It's not gonna be that bad. But I'm just saying, we're gonna get into it. So I want to start out by saying, in regards to sex, a lot of times it's not actually about sex when it comes to problems. Would you guys agree? Okay. So what I want to unpack is, just off the dome, the top issues that you guys have or have had, because some of you guys are in relationships, but some of the issues that have happened in the past that have been issues out the gate. So let's start there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to call on you guys in order. So I'm going to always go TC, John, Anthony, so that, we don't talk over each other. But if you guys have something specific that you want to say, just give me a church finger and then I'll let you jump in so that this can flow smoothly. Okay. So we're going to start with TC. And if you want to pass on anything, just give me one of these little signals. Okay.
We're going to pass on nothing.
Yes, that's the energy I'm looking for.
I want to first start off by introducing myself.
Yes, thank you.
Some of my words can have their proper level to them, okay?
Yes.
So one, I'm an author, I'm a speaker, I'm a certified alert life coach. I use modern applied psychology. I've been doing performance and process improvement for more than 20 years.
Okay.
So
I love process improvement. I'm sorry, side note. I didn't even know that was a thing, and I stumbled on it realizing that I enjoy improving processes. I didn't know that was an actual thing. So that's really cool because I've never met anybody who was in that field, but I live on improving processes, whether my personal life, whatever.
Six Sigma?
What is it?
Have you ever heard of Six Sigma?
Six Sigma?
Yeah. Have you ever heard of that?
I haven't.
You get a chance, take a look at that. I do what is called Lean Six Sigma, which concentrates on human capital, meaning I work with people.
Okay, so spell it, because I don't know if I'm even hearing the words you're saying. I'm going to type in the comments. Six as in S-I-X?
Yes.
Okay.
Sigma. S-I-G-M-A.
Oh, Sigma. I was saying stigma. Okay, Sigma. Okay, so you guys can look into that if you want to look into that. Okay. And you said you're a relationship coach.
I'm a relationship coach. So I use modern applied psychology, which is slightly different. One of the things that I talk about is therapy helps you feel better. Modern applied psychology and life coaching helps you become better.
Okay, I like it. Y'all, nothing but the best for y'all, okay? We already have a question. Is Six Sigma a certification, they said? That's a mouthful.
Yes, it is. Six Sigma is a certification. It has 3 levels: yellow, green, and black.
Okay, I'm gonna make some notes, y'all, so just please continue. Okay, and anything else you want to share? Because I was a little wary on what to share because I don't know how much you guys want your business out there. So anything else you would like to share with them?
Well, so I'm going to go ahead and answer your question.
Okay.
Right. So let me address it from the perspective of what I've experienced and what I know.
Okay.
I often respond to this in on your comments and things of that nature. Almost every single thing is learned behavior.
Okay.
Almost every single thing. So that means even a thought process that you're actually good at something, including sex.
Okay.
So that means that what I've experienced when I've been with a woman, her assumption immediately was that she was good just by virtue of being a woman.
Got you. And I'm so sorry because I don't want to forget this. And Camry, thank you so much for saying this. Where can people follow you on social media or website or anything like that? I'm going to type that in before I forget.
Okay. So on Facebook, it is Inside Out Evolution.
Inside Out Evolution. Okay.
On Instagram is Inside Out _evolution.
Inside Out _evolution. I'm like hooked on phonics. Work for me. Okay.
If someone happens to be on LinkedIn, it's also Inside Out Evolution.
Okay. Oops. Inside Out Evolution. Okay.
And then last but not least, my website is www.insideoutevo.com.
Evo, like short for evolution.
Correct.
Okay, so insideoutevo.com.
Correct.
Perfect. Okay. And if you guys want to plug yourself as well when it's your turn, you can as well. So I'm so sorry. I feel like I jumped all over your segment.
That's all right.
Okay.
I'm fluid.
That's what's up. Hey, so, Brizza.
What we end up doing is we have an assumption that we're good at it by virtue of our gender, right? Or because we learned based off of what someone has said to us, even though it may not have been true, only true for them.
Oh, it's not a universal truth. Okay.
No such thing. Not when it comes to sex, because every single woman, no matter what similarities they have, every single man, no matter what similarities we may have, there are distinct differences between us all.
Amen.
Like, I don't like to be tickled. There's certain spots that tickle for me. Don't touch there. You're going to spoil the mood.
It is not necessary. What are you doing? Toe sucking, not for everybody. Yeah.
Oh, exactly. I don't like, don't touch my butt. Don't do that. I don't like that. So if you have to take the time to find out. Now, I have had women say, I don't want to be telling a man everything what to do for me. Then I'm supposed to know. You know the guess? You want to just slide out? Oh, don't stick your finger there. I didn't like that. Well, how was I supposed to know?
Right. After he breaks your forearm. Yes. You in a cast. Okay, I guess he doesn't like to be poked there. He didn't want anything inserted there. Okay.
Right.
Okay, so I'm going to keep checking you guys, but can you guys hear clearly? Because we are going to have some juicy tea spilled. Let me know that you guys can hear clearly, okay? So I got this thing on as loud as I can. All right. So to just summarize what you were saying for those who just tuned in, do not assume that you're a guru just because you have certain genitalia. And also, no matter how much experience you have, understand that each person is different and they appreciate different things. Although there might be similarities, everyone is not all the same.
Right. always ask yourself, if I am good, who am I good for and to for?
Ooh, if I'm good. Okay. So guys, so I just got the feedback that my guest, which is going to be you right now, is a little bit muffled, but is saying that they can, I believe it's a typo that you're saying I can hear him for the most part. So if there's anything that you guys don't hear, or maybe you repeat it, because sometimes things really are good. And I'm like, say that again for the people in the back. If you want to say it again for the people in the back, just comment. Okay, Cameron says she can hear fine. So good. And you guys, next week, I promise I'll troubleshoot before, because I was procrastinating. I should have worked this out beforehand. Okay, so anything else you want to talk about? Things that where women are going wrong. I almost forgot how I phrased it the first time.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say women are going wrong, because how would you know? Like you're standing too close to the elephant, so you don't even know what it is. So
how big is the elephant? I'm just serious.
Don't believe any different. There's an analogy that I often use, and you can apply to almost every situation. Okay, so one, sometimes we're standing too close to the elephant, so we don't even know what it is. Two, we don't even acknowledge the elephant that's in the room. And three, we have to ask ourselves, how do you eat an elephant? Piece by piece. So to translate, it means stand back,
John.
review, right? Then you can start to consume, then you digest.
Okay.
And so women don't actually know, because you've been taught, right? Even some behaviors that you exhibit, you don't even realize you pick those up and you practice them.
Ooh, so I guess I gotta say this. So the last week, I was going in on the fellas about communication. And one of my biggest frustration was, do men even know that there's an issue to even work on it? And so when you're talking about sex, you probably are going to have a lot of women who don't even know there's an issue with their partner, because you said it's different for everybody, and they wouldn't even know that there was something to talk about. And if the woman doesn't seem approachable, her guy might be scared to bring up the topic. I'm going to get to this comment really quick. Brizzle says, I believe I speak for a lot of men when I say we can do without the theatrics. He said a nice moan or grunt to communicate that you like what I'm doing is more than sufficient. And I think what he's alluding to is the over the top dramatic performance that women might think, because they've seen it on porn or something like that, that they need this dramatic thing. But in reality, the guy just, correct me if I'm wrong, speaking for men, the man just wants to know that you enjoy it and be authentic. So if you don't normally swing from the chandelier and do some hyena pitch, do what you would normally do, and he's gonna pick. Am I right, y'all? John is cracking up over here. Robert says a man shouldn't be afraid to approach his woman. Shouldn't is the operative word. Yes. Brizzle said, I don't need to hear. I can feel it in my. I'm sorry. I gotta be able to read these calmly. Brizzle says, I can hear it. 00. Brizzle says, I don't need to hear. I can feel it in my stomach. When I hear that, I assume you're faking. Okay, so he's talking about, like, don't overly gas me up. Like, be authentic, right? That'll preach in a lot of areas in your life. Okay.
Well, so that's not accurate. That's an assumption.
That she's faking it.
Right, that she's faking.
Right.
What if she can?
Facts.
Wait, it's going too high.
Yes.
You can't assume that she's faking.
He said, don't assume. Okay, John, I'm going to hit you off the top. What would you, if you could teach a course on sex and every woman you ever encounter moving forward would have to read this manual, what is anything? You don't have to give more than one, but at least give me one thing that you just wish, dear God, women knew. What is a universal truth for you?
First of all, I feel like this is a setup, because you got us in here with an expert, with a website, 6 and all of this. This is a setup.
But you represent the everyday man. You represent the everyday man. That's what it is.
There we go. That's me. That's
yes.
Me. All right.
You're relatable.
Well, this is what I would say for the ladies. Relax. Don't overthink it. Let's just have fun.
So simple, but that is deep. No pun intended.
None taken. But
here's the thing, and I have heard this, and you guys, for those of you who are not in my group, when I speak, I'm speaking from the thousands of guys for the last 6 years. So this is not my ministry. This is not my testimony, y'all. I am relaying information. She's not for the streets, so don't get it twisted, okay? My pastor and first lady, if you're watching, okay? But what I am saying is that a lot of women are in their head. And I actually saw a video from a sexologist, if that's even the word, but she's like a sex therapist. She's an expert, elderly woman who she knows her stuff. But she said the reason why a lot of women have a hard time peaking, I'm going to use, colorful, descriptive words. I like to keep it classy. But she said it's because they're in their head. And what's preventing them from having the ultimate in pleasure in their experience is getting out of their head. So a lot of times, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, because again, I'm speaking for the men. A lot of times we as women are harder on ourselves than the man. Example, right. He is not looking at your little pudge on your stomach. He's looking at all the other bells and whistles. He is not worried about the cellulite on your thigh. He is not concerned with the little dimple on your booty. He's looking at everything else. So a lot of times we're overly in our head. We're worried about our posture. Well, how do we look in this light? Am I bending in a way that my gut is sticking out? They are not worried about that. They're not enjoying the experience because you're not even in the experience. You're on a set somewhere. Lights, camera, action. They
act like we didn't know that was there in the first place.
Okay. I don't know how I can get to these comments because I am so PG. Okay, so they're agreeing with you guys, by the way. The Chris Mayo show says, I hate it when women say, make me, I'm just going to say climax because that's a little racy for me, the vernacular. And he's like, ma'am, I'm trying. So he's saying basically don't give him a play-by-play instruction in that moment, especially climaxing, because obviously that's what he's trying. Not a play-by-play, but I'm saying don't just tell him in general, I would say maybe give him some direction, give him some like, oh, they're not, I'm guessing.
Here's my question. Why are we making it so logical?
And I haven't forgotten about you, Anthony. Okay, hang in there. Okay.
When you go to the club, now I saw it in your Facebook page, you have this little video, right? You're doing a little ditty dance, right? I'm going to assume that when you are at the club, you're not like, all right, left foot on, shake hips.
Well, right? If you see the way I move, I probably would. But to your point, yes.
That video show up. I'm not gonna comment. Okay,
y'all, people come for me in my dancing. Well, I don't know if they call it dancing, but to your point, I know what you're saying. You get in the mood, you get in the vibe, and you just feeling it.
Right. Just feel it. I think the problem is that we don't really understand sex. Now, I was fortunate and unfortunate at an early age because I was such a reclusive introvert. I picked up a book called The Women's Guide to Good Sex.
Sorry, someone just said, what did I click on? I'm sorry, The Women's Guide to Sex.
Right. And so I learned how a woman's body responds. The problem with that is that it became an experiment. Right? It became very methodical.
What does this button do? Yeah.
I can do this to get this. That's not what it's supposed to be like.
You were in R&D and you should have been in lovemaking. I got you.
Yeah.
Let me get to some of these comments really quick. Camry talking about, wait a minute, repeat that, sir. Brizzle says, if I'm already attracted to you, I'm not hyper-focused on your cellulite and stretch marks. And in fact, I find them attractive. That's cute. Michael says, what did I just click on? My caption says, let's talk about sex. So y'all have been warned before you clicked. Jovan says, that has been my experience with many females. And I believe it's talking about not getting lost in the moment. You wanted to be lost in the moment. Michael says, I'm on that side of YouTube again. Again, you have been warned. Brizzle says, I love your stuff. But, he said, I love your stiff but sexy dancing, Yonci. Thank you. It is very stiff. No shout to my Caucasian followers here, but I am in touch with my white side when I dance. I definitely do not have the black rhythm. Okay, I got the beat.
Channeling.
Yes, I am channeling my Caucasian side. Okay. Robert says, I don't even go to the club. I meet women at the grocery store, see what she got in her cart. That's hilarious. A message was retracted. I am nosy. I want to know what it said. I didn't even know you could retract a message on YouTube. And then Jovan says, all they have to say is right there, and we know we are at the right spot. Malcolm says you have to learn how that woman responds to you. Okay, guys. So I always want to get to the comments before they get too far along, because then they ask a question. I have no idea what it was regarding. So thank you for your patience. My little double Dutch style here. Anthony, is there anything that you want to chime in so far?
Well, no, I agree with, I forgot his name, TC. When he was saying he read a book, I'm an introvert as well. I also read a similar book, not how to please a woman, but it was like to understand. I forgot, I got it from my library. It was an old book, and it was based on a woman's anatomy, and it taught me different things. And like he said, unfortunately, instead of enjoying it, I too experiment. So I was like, oh, if I touch it there, this works there. If I touch it here, this works there. And I learned to listen to the woman, to let her, because she would tell me where she wanted to be touched. And I'm like, okay, you want to be touched here, you like it there. Oh, you want me to spend more time here, you want me to spend more time there. And that's pretty much, I just learned to listen. It's more about knowing, one thing you know your anatomy, the other thing is you have to learn to listen.
Right.
And listen to what she likes and what she enjoys. And I guess that's it.
Okay, so you guys, and I talked about this at the beginning, so she said turn your screen really quick so we can put the faces with these answers. You tried it, Camry. Okay, so here's the deal, y'all. I told you I am like winging this on a prayer right now. So I didn't do my troubleshooting, and I actually forgot that I used my Zoom platform, because that's how you guys are hearing the sound. So I used I used the non-paid version. So it's giving me the warning that I have 10 minutes before it goes off. So what I can do, worst case scenario, I will repost on Facebook the new link so you guys can jump in. Okay, that's like the worst case scenario. But what I'm going to try to do is see if I can fix it and just upgrade this account really quick before we go. So bear with me, you guys. This is what it is. And actually, TC, I'm going to rely on you for a second. If you can, go ahead and just put you on the spot. If you want to share anything off the cuff, buy me about 3 minutes, because I would rather for you guys not to have to log in and log back out. So if you want to talk about, let's say anything particular, let me give you some specifics. What would you say as far as a guy knowing when to approach? No, I don't want to go from the guy's angle. I want to keep it with the women's angle. I'm sorry. I'm trying to go off the cuff. What would you say as far as the woman, what should she do if she's feeling the guy, but she doesn't want to come across as too aggressive? How can she let the guy know that she's ready without being over the top? Is that a fair enough question?
We're saying ready for what?
Ready to take it to the next level. So they haven't been intimate, and now that she's ready to. How can she do that and still feel like a lady?
Okay. So first and foremost, those are social constructs. All right. So we have the things that we choose to take part of sometimes because it benefits us, such as, oh, I want to be treated like a lady, like I'm less. Other times I want to be treated equal, like I'm more. You can't have it both ways. So I have to establish that, because I think there's a misunderstanding. Secondly, most people don't understand what a dialogue is. What we end up having is a discussion, a diatribe, or a debate. So of those three things, the only one that's even close to a dialogue is discussion.
Okay.
Sex is communication. Sex is communication. Getting to that next step still requires some communication. So let's look at it like a dance, right? Before you start dancing, you need music. The music is the conversation prior to the actual act. Some of those things, you have to give a man enough time to even learn enough about you so that he can understand where you're coming from. At no point should a woman feel like, I'm not a lady to the man that she's thinking about taking to the next level to, because she didn't even give him enough time to understand her in the first place. So men, we are visual creatures. Fact. It is what it is. And I'm a sapien by far and large. But I still appreciate what I see. If you don't give me, if I were back in the single realm, If you don't give me time to know what's underneath and inside, it's not going to make a difference. All I'm going to know is what I expect, which is what you showed me. And that's what I'm going to respond to because I am a man. A woman's going to respond the way a woman does because they're more in touch and in tune with channeling their emotions. While men, we're more instinctual. It's not that we're physical. It's not that we're visceral. We are more instinctual. Instincts and logic. Emotion, nurture, and reasoning. Those are the differences between our genders by far and large. So when it comes to want to take it to the next level, you can't expect them to get the hint because a lot of men fear that they're going to overstep their boundaries.
Yes, Me Too movement.
And they're afraid that if they don't capitalize off of it, they're never going to get it again because now they're soft.
No pun intended. Okay.
No pun intended, right? So we're walking a razor blade to try to figure out what she actually means.
Okay.
I had a woman tell me once, she said, listen, we're both grown folks. And I mean, she wasn't that old, but she said that. We're both grown folks. She said, if I choose to sleep with you, I'm going to let you know. She never said anything, but when I initiated any kind of physical contact, her body movements let me know. Her posture, the noises she made, let me know, go a little bit further. And then I just simply, as Anthony was saying, I had to watch what she was doing to allow me to go to the next step.
Okay.
Now, there have been some that will grab my hand, but then let it go.
Oh, okay. And I imagine it could be, so I didn't mean to cut you off, but I can imagine it could be really complicated because, like I said, the Me Too movement and things like that. On the one hand, we want a guy who's aggressive. We want a guy that takes charge. We want to feel like we're, he's attracted to us and he has to have us. But on the other hand, if there's a guy we don't want that way, we don't want to be violated. So it's like, it's this song and dance of, how do you walk this line? I got to read this. Brizzle said, casually approaching me naked and acting otherwise normal always works on me. Just strip down and just stand there butt naked and he'll get the green light. So I'm kind of torn because I have a child. He's 16 years old right now. And, oh my God. Y'all, hold on one second. I have an angel who just went in and literally upgraded my account so that I can continue. You know who you are. God bless you. Hold on. This thing keeps hitting the, Thank you. That was amazing. So I don't have to stress about that, you guys. So thank you. Hold on. There we go. So getting back to what I was saying. So I have a child who's 16 and I feel like the last thing I want is anyone to even be able to say anything. And so I jokingly say, get a notarized consent form before you go past first base. But really, like, how do you navigate that? Because I feel like a lot of things are kind of mood killers, but at the same time, it's a mood killer to go to prison for charges. So it's like, how do you navigate that?
I'm going to give the other fellas some time.
I was just going to say.
I am loquacious, so.
And I appreciate that.
Loquacious.
Multi-syllabic words. Do you guys have any input you want to give on that?
You got something, Anthony?
You navigated.
So Travis. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Anthony. I didn't know you were starting.
No, I'm saying it is difficult to navigate because you're myself, because of my son, I can explain. Because of my son, I'm assumed to be aggressive.
Okay.
So I have to take a real passive stand towards the woman when it comes to if she wants to, go to that next level.
And when you say size, you're talking about your muscles, right?
Yes.
y'all are leaving the doors open for so many jokes. I'm sorry, y'all gonna get all these jokes. Okay.
I'll leave that up. But it's a thing where you have to. I normally like the woman to pull me in.
You like a woman to pull you in, okay?
So it's one of those things where I'm there and she'll be looking at me like, okay, what's she gonna do? It's like if I make the next move, keep pulling me in, keep drawing me in, then I'm like, okay, let's go for it, because I've always assumed that because of my size, I'm also on the flip side, I have to be in my head, and I'm one of those. I get a little anxious because I'm worrying about, once I get started, I'm not gonna be able to stop. I'm like, and she can't stop me.
It's a train. It's a train that has momentum. Yeah, it's going down the track.
So I have to be extremely gentle and allow her to pull me in. But I don't try. I'm just not. I try not to be the aggressor.
Okay. And that's what Travis is actually. Okay, cool. Travis is saying the same thing. You have to let her make the first move. Michael's saying, wow, you have a 16-year-old fountain of youth. Thank you. I actually turned 40 in the quarantine. So I got married in my 20s. So I started my family early. To be honest, he said, Javon says, I hope I'm saying your name right, Javon. To be honest, I just ask because you never know with people today. And they said, who is he saying? Robert is poetic. Mike, he said, I got a lot of that. Let's see. So oh, there we go. Okay. So he says, Robert says, look, as a man with a plan, when I extend my, that's why he said poetic. As a man with a plan, when I extend my hand, follow me to the land, I'm going to keep walking. If you keep talking, ain't no groove. If you don't move, is we going to dance or no? But I feel the vibe. He dropping bars over here on the, that's why he said that was poetic. Oh my goodness. And then he said, yeah, I got a lot of that. That's so funny. He said, you just got to meet somebody on your level. Somebody else says 40 is the new 28. That's awesome. And yes, you're saying it right. Oh, good. Okay, so what would you say, TC? Would you say that you need I'd say verbal consent, because I feel like if you say no, it's sounding like you're saying, no, I don't want verbal consent. But do you need the woman to verbally say, yes, I want to? Or if she physically is grabbing you, do you take that as the green light? Like, where do you draw the line?
I think it's kind of all the above.
Okay.
I think right now what we're trying to do, and I understand why, is we're looking for a finite, specific way to be able to handle this, especially considering our current landscape, right? And I get it, right? But I have to go back to what I said earlier about getting to know someone. In this new environment that we live in, we are losing the ability to be humane and human with one another. So we've lost that connection point. So it's harder now to understand what a woman wants because we spend a lot of time texting.
Child, say that again.
We have to get back to some of the basics of, I know you feel comfortable texting, but why do you feel uncomfortable talking?
Yes. And I want to say that
because.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, it's okay. Go ahead.
I want to say this. So I just spoke in a women's group, before this live. We had a virtual event. And one of the things that I said, so for me, I'm a woman of faith. And so a lot of the things that I get for my guide in my life is from the scriptures, but it's not from what most people think of like religion and sin and not sin. A lot of it is just life principles that I feel are based on time-tested wisdom. One of the things that I look at is in the scripture, it talks about putting the other person before yourself. And I feel like we as a culture have gotten so far away from those truths of the Bible, which one of them is putting the other person before yourself, that even when it comes to sex, you cannot enjoy sex on the level that you can until you learn to put the other person first. So for example, a woman gives her best when she's comfortable. A man performs best when he's comfortable. And so the irony is that being selfish ends up making you screwed. No pun intended. So the thing is that, so the thing is that if you allow yourself to go outside of yourself, you will have richer experiences overall. And exactly what you're saying, get away from texting and start connecting in person. Connect over the phone. If you can take it up to FaceTime, do FaceTime. If you can take it to in person, do it in person. And if you could do it without distractions and hold hands and look into each other's eyes, it's that connection that makes it magical. And y'all, I'm preaching right now, so just bear with me. But plugging my video where I say you've been bamboozled, this video on sex, just look at my channel, you'll see the one. What you don't understand about intimacy is there is an orgasm, which is, in that moment, an orgasm only lasts but so long. And then there's intimacy in which you connect mind, body, and soul. You are settling for, those army packets of food that doesn't expire for years. MRE, you said?
Yeah.
You're settling for an MRE ration over a Ruth's Chris steak dinner. So do you get calories from the MRE ration? Yes. Can you feel satisfied because you're not hungry anymore? Yes. But if you've had a fine dining experience, you would never again settle. So
how would you know?
How would you know the difference?
Yeah.
Interesting. That is an interesting thought. I'm actually going to pause. I'm going to actually pause and think about that. I would say that even though you don't have a comparison between the two, I do feel like as a woman, because we're emotional, there is 100% a difference between being emotionally connected and having a physical encounter than not having an emotional connection and having a physical encounter. I'll speak just for myself. Ladies who are watching this, let me know. So I'm not talking about like the quality of sex per se, like, I climax faster or something like that. But I do know that for women, we physically relax more when we are emotionally connected.
But you don't know what you don't know.
But I think you would know that you're uncomfortable.
You would know that something doesn't feel right.
Okay.
You won't know what it is. Right?
I will agree with that. There
are two words I want to bring up very quickly. There's reciprocity and there's vulnerability. Both of those things are needed to establish intimacy. Both of those things are needed.
So let's say them again for the people in the back. Reciprocity.
And vulnerability.
Okay.
If you don't know the definitions of either of those things, I'm not talking about Webster's. I mean, how it applies to your life in human terms, then it won't make a difference what I tell you. It doesn't make a difference what you try to conceptualize, because that's assumption, not an assessment.
Okay. I feel I'm
going
to read
that assumption, not an assessment. I'm still in that.
Okay. Travis says she preaching. Thank you, friend. That's real vibes. Oh my, I'm not reading that comment. I'm not old enough. Okay. Crystal says yes. Javon says totally agree with that. Sai, I'm trying to remember if it was Sai. I believe it was Sai she was from the earlier meeting. She said yowza. I gotta say it with emphasis. There were 3 S's. Michael says, y'all got a point though. I'm tired of hopping in DMs. I prefer face-to-face. Don't we all? Jovan says, if I feel you holding back, then I will probably hold back myself. Brizzle says, you should probably do a show on legit connecting with another person. I think we've lost our ability to connect. If you're trying to connect with a woman for the purpose of scoring, right there, you're wrong. Oh, they said it's buffering. You know what? Actually, let me do this. I'm going to close some of these screens. And hopefully that can help. I don't know why it would be buffering, you guys.
The resources, if your device is utilizing too much resources, then it's gonna buffer.
Oh, okay. Trinicia says intimacy increases the chance of orgasm in my experience. And Cameron says it's back. Okay, cool. So we're not buffering anymore. All right. So I'm gonna speak from my perspective on on connecting. Like I said first, I think if the goal is to smash, then everything goes out the window and I'm not addressing those people. If you are actually looking to connect, I think that quality time is the number one thing. So many guys use the excuse that I'm not a phone person. I think that's a load of crap, because if you're into...
That's how they really sound?
It's always like that. That's how I hear them. That's how I hear them when I read it in the group. I'm not a phone person. So if somebody were to say to you, I'm going to give you directions, the GPS coordinates for a multi-million-dollar stash of money, you would not care that you had to get the information through the phone. So that, to me, that's BS. If you are motivated to get to know somebody, you are going to use whatever resource that you have. And if you are not close enough to get in person and talk in person, you have to settle for the phone. So if a normal person who has a busy schedule is only able to meet in person once a week or twice a month, that's ridiculous to think that you're going to really connect with somebody only talking heart to heart, in person. So that whole, I don't like the phone thing, I don't care, get over yourself. It's part of the process. That's my personal opinion.
Can I ask you a question?
Like
do you believe that people who you meet reveal all of themselves immediately?
I do, and it's up to us to listen. That's my opinion.
I disagree. I think everyone wears a mask. And as we get to know each other better, you start to lower that veil a little bit more at a time.
Okay, I would counter with this. I do agree with that there are levels to it, and you get the exterior layer of the onion first, and then you might peel back that one. I do agree with that. However, I do feel like from a red flags perspective, a lot of times people will give you an indication up front. So I say that to say, let's say if a guy starts out really shaky, or if he's, something happens, I feel like people will kind of give themselves away a little bit. So I would caution people to listen to those things if they are negatives. But as far as the positive, I would 100% agree with you.
I can agree.
Okay. He said people are onions. I am equating the onions to the multiple layers. So you guys are going to get a certain level of me. I'm aware that I'm live. I'm aware of my platform. I'm aware of the fact that I have kids that could possibly watch this video. I'm aware on a certain level. So my guard is up, up, up. If you take the same person and you put me in an intimate setting with my partner who I have trust with, you're going to get a different level of intimacy. So that's the layers that I'm referring to as far as the onions bristle. Jovan says, I'm one of those persons because I want you to know exactly what's going on with me. Don't want to waste anyone's time. Crystal's talking about, can you say for the people in the back? And I don't even know which one it was because that's why I'm trying to keep up with them. I'm sorry. Brizzle says, I'm a communication person, phone, video, keyboards, in person. Yes. He said, I'm just trolling you a little bit. You're good. Okay. Jovan saying, I also don't want my time wasted. So I would just say genuinely try to get to know the person. And I think sometimes, even with life, if you're trying to find your purpose or whatnot, if you focus so much on the end result, which is maybe getting her in bed or getting her to wife you or getting her to be in a relationship with you, you miss out on the journey because you're so focused on the destination. And just like with everything else, yes, the good doctor is giving me a thumbs up. I'm giving you a doctorate whether you have it or not. Okay, so but I think that in relationships, instead of trying to get to that end result, just focus on being. So in that moment, capitalize on what's happening. And this PSA for women, you guys, I'm gonna speak for you guys, even though you haven't said this, put your phone down. Erykah Badu made a whole song, I can make you put your phone down. When you are in the presence of a man, and men, when you're in the presence of a woman, give them your undivided attention. Nothing says love and connection more than undivided attention. It's hard to connect with someone at every second. Every 5 seconds they're over here. Your Instagram, we're not going to go anywhere. Even your kids texting you, if it's an emergency, people can get a hold of you. For the little time you have with someone you're dating, give them your undivided attention. We have such a short attention span in this day and age because everything is so quick and microwave. It's hard to stay there. So when I dated this guy, drove me nuts. Every time we would FaceTime, he FaceTime, which I think is awesome. Every 5 seconds, I'm getting that pause screen because he's responding to a comment. He's answering another call. He's talking to someone who's walking up. My God, it just screams, I don't give a damn about Yonci's time. That's what it says to me. I don't care how busy you are. If you're important to me, I'm going to carve out a little bit of time where I can give you my undivided attention, or I'm going to preface it by saying, babe, I'm in a chaotic situation right now. I can talk to you, but I have a lot going on. But it should not be every single time I'm competing with your social media, your mom calling, your kids grabbing your phone. Get your kids together. That's not an excuse. Okay, train up a child. Sorry, tangent. Okay, let me get to these comments. He said, getting her to wife me. Sorry, I said that in reverse if that's what I said. Jovan saying, preach. Yes, I agree. Attention is key. Be mindful. Trinicia says, I agree. Crystal says, all presence is so important. And Brizzle says, I think that's the earth sign in you. I'm mad you know my birthday. Okay, so I want to get into some specifics, y'all. Did you have anything on your chest that y'all want to get off before we move to get off? See, all these puns. Did you guys have anything that you wanted to say before we move on to the literals? Okay, I'm gonna take that as a no. So we have talked about.
I do have one thing to piggyback on something you said.
Please.
So it's called being present in the infinite moment of now.
Ooh, that's
present in the infinite moment of now. The issue that we forget is we think we have time. 17 years ago, I died on the operating table. I did not know that was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't had any plans. I was going to come home until I had outpatient surgery. It didn't work out. That being the case, even in your moments, so being candid, what made me an effective lover, the fact that I knew how to be right in that moment. The only thing that mattered to me was that woman at that moment, and she knew it.
She felt it.
That is what made me effective. She felt it.
I watched this video. There's a podcast called The School of Greatness by Lewis Howes, and he had a guest on. I wish I remembered his name right now. I don't at this moment, but he gave a great analogy. He compared us to dogs. He said a dog is always present. A dog is never anguishing over the past, and he's never worrying about the future. He's always in the present, which is the only reality. I'm paraphrasing. He said the past is an illusion, and so is the present, is the future. It's an illusion. The only thing that is now. And so we have to really be doing that. And I do a lot of videos talking about this type of thing. But I said it's this fine balance of, I coined it this way, and I said, y'all can quote me if you want. I said, plan for tomorrow. Plan today as though there is a tomorrow, but live today as though there isn't. So get all that you can out of today, but don't be to the point where you're reckless, where you don't have, don't squander all your coins on the same day, but don't also starve yourself to where you don't buy anything that you want. You know what I mean? It's all about balance. Life is about balance. Travis says, wait, who said that?
Plan for the best.
Yes. Plan for the worst, hope for the best. Travis, the person who said that, if message me, and I will give you that, because I know it's a School of Greatness, but I wrote it down, so I'll have to refer to it, but I don't remember that particular guy's name. If you're asking about the dog analogy, and I did a video on it on Instagram. If you guys want to watch that, that says you are enough. I think it's a powerful message that people can hear. All right, so what I'm going to do, and my assistant walked away because it is above the rating that she's able to get. So I need to go get a refill on my water. I say that quote every time I get a tote of cookies from McDonald's. So I'm going to get some water. But while I do that, I would like you guys to start getting into the specifics, the nitty gritty. Okay. We did a post, oh my God, months ago. And I was dying. I was like that gift with the popcorn. Like, I am seated. Let me get everything. So I asked, what things do women do in bed that they just think they doing it? And y'all are universally like, nah. And the one thing that kept coming up so much, dear God, don't ever let my children watch this video, but they said, don't do the scoop, right? They said, man, don't do the scoop. So when we gonna get real, okay? When you doing the cowgirl style, okay, they said don't do the scoop, it's the up down because of the body and anatomy. Okay, they said you want to proceed up and you want to proceed down. So if you think about God, okay, if you think about the straw here, okay, if I have it here, doing this is nothing's happening for the guy, versus this, something's happening for the guy. So for women, there's obviously a reason, because there's stimulation outside of her body. And so she has pleasure doing this. But if you're in that moment trying to make his head spin, that ain't it. Like that's doing nothing for them. Consensus, you guys? Thumbs up?
Yeah,
okay.
Right. Yep.
So opening that door, she says, scoop. He said, nah, you feel it on the tip if you're reaching. I'm not 100% sure what that means. So break that down if you can. So my chance to get a little water break, y'all go ahead and take that over. If there is something that you could just be like, this is the Bible on sex, all women need to know this. Please, dear God, don't do this, or please do this. Go ahead, take the floor. No pressure.
Okay.
I'm actually a fan of this school. So, because I know what she's doing. And there's some levels that, I'll be straight. Sometimes you can eat it through your mouth, feel like the person. And so you don't want to eat no more. So you like, get that food in, do what you got to do, get that work out, so let's get it over with, and then I'm going to do my thing after. Because in my experience, I found that once the woman climaxes, it's on.
Right. If the school is based off of her,
Right. Yeah, do it then if it's for that.
It's literal more than vaginal. If all of her sensitivities at the very tip or the very inside, like that loop that you make, if that's where it is, then it makes sense. But those are things or conversations you should be having prior to. Because if the school don't work for me, but it works for you because you're trying to achieve a goal, then I'm gonna wait. Okay, I gotta let you away.
Can I put you guys on camera for a brief second? Because I'm dying with all the gestures and whatever. Is that cool if I put you guys on camera really quick?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, I'm sorry, y'all. Every now and then I'm gonna show you guys. Okay, sorry for my ring light. Okay, hold on. All right, so go ahead. This is so ghetto.
Right, I got.
Sorry about the ghetto, you guys. All right, but you were talking about they were missing all the little. Y'all keep retracting messages. They said, please put them on camera. You guys, next week, this is a little detour for those of you who missed the beginning. I had a whole thing set up. Part of it was procrastination because I should have set this up yesterday. And the other part is that I thought I was going to have more time in between my two lives today to set it up. But in the future, the plan was to have them on camera. So if they want to come back for part 2, we can definitely do that. But you guys will be able to see on the screen and see everything and see all the graphics. It's going to be fun. But I apologize for not getting it together. He said, when a woman touches you, leans in close to you, the woman always initiates. Oh, he's talking about the initiation. Okay. Brizzle says, if she gets there, cool. Just switch to up and down after you got yours. I can be fair and reasonable. That's nice. He said, oh, that's what he said. No, you feel it on the tip if you're reaching. I think he's talking about the movement. Okay, so Robert says that scoop be popping. And then he's saying the scoop. And I'm not saying scoop. I'm saying scoop. Like it's that scoop motion like that. Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty terrible.
Okay. Y'all having a snack. I have literally not. It is 8 o'clock for me, and I have not eaten since like 11 in the afternoon. So when we live, anything happens. So y'all just gonna have to forgive me, and I'm gonna eat my little snacks so I don't pass out. What's that? Look, and even if I do, I'm like,
I think that'd be pretty damn funny.
Right? I might get some more subscribers. So side note, this is a funny thing. This is a side note. We have this obsession with perfection in our culture, right? And I kind of touched on it at the beginning. The irony, and shout out to this guy, I wish I remembered his name, but he got me all the way together and is what made me kind of take it to the next level with my social media and my online presence. We are our worst critic, for one. And 2, we obsess about things that a lot of people don't care about. And 3, content rules. So if your content is fire, unless people can't actually hear you, because nobody wants to sit there and struggle to hear something. And if it's really grainy, nobody wants to sit through. But aside from like actual audio visual abilities, nobody cares if you broadcast in a multi-million-dollar studio or the front seat of your car. He said, think about the people you like listening to on YouTube, right? He's like, do you even think about where they're going live from or where they're doing their video from? But yet content creators, I'm just using that as an example, but it could be anything in your life. Content creators will obsess over, okay, I need my background to be right. And I need to make sure I have the best lighting. And I need to learn about audio. And I need to have this. Or like me, I want these graphics because I know they're popping and what it can be. But what if I had said, well, I don't have the graphics that I want, so I'm going to cancel for tonight. We wouldn't have had this little late conversation. So this is a little word of encouragement for you guys. Stop stopping yourself. If you have something that's on your spirit that you want to share, share it. They know in my group, I don't get myself together before I go on live. Sometimes there's something in my spirit that I need to talk about, vent about, talk about, what have you. And I believe that timing is everything. I don't have time to sit here and flat iron my hair or curl it or, make sure my lipstick and my eyelids are, coordinated with my makeup. You gonna get my morning face. You gonna get my bed head. Hello? Okay. So I didn't get the 1,000, members that I have because my face is on point. And guess what? When I do get it together, it's a big deal because it's like, oh, we're getting it together. So YouTube, I ain't get that comfortable yet. I'm still gonna put my little clothes on. I'm gonna do my hair and brush my hair or whatever. But Facebook, they get whatever I'm giving. Like, that's what it is. And nobody has unsubscribed because like, Yonci, your hair was not on point. Your curls were dropping. Like, you know what I mean? Travis says she sure don't bonnet at all. I rebuke that. I don't wear a bonnet.
That's a word for the ladies when it comes to sex too. We don't care about none of that stuff. No. If you want to bless us, just go on and bless us. We'll take it.
Well, I'm going to respectfully disagree with that as a general statement.
Oh, I love a good.
I'm going to say that sometimes.
Shut up.
Everybody's taste is different. Sometimes I want a little pizzazz. Yeah. All right. I like a thong. I like some sheer panties. I like boy shit.
Are you turning it down though?
I'm sorry.
But are you turning it down? Now you have a preference, but are you turning down the good goodies if she's not?
Well, I'm not turning it down if she's not. What I'm saying is that as a blanket statement,
okay,
I don't always want it just because you're offering it. Take the bonnet off.
He said that was my next question. He said take the bonnet off.
He got serious.
You're more worried about
that what you said. Baby, take that bonnet off.
You're more worried about your hair. And what we doing, we have a different conversation.
Ooh, that's a word right there. Okay, guys, I'm trying to focus on that. So y'all see? Okay, there we go. All right.
Well, we can say that though, because we ain't got hair to deal with. So I mean,
well, you have more than that. So.
Look, that's a whole situation. So I had. So it's right. So okay, so it's quarantine right now. I'm sorry, you guys. This thing was so blurry. That's so much better. Okay, let me get my little focus together. Hold on, guys. We just going with the flow. Okay, so I had somebody that got all excited, and I forgot. And tell me. Well, I was gonna say, message me if you want to tell me because I cannot remember this guy's name, and I was trying to reference it in the girls' little conference, little thing. But Jones, his last name is Jones, but he was saying he had those kind of braids in his hair because he jumped on a live, wanted to have a conversation, threw a hat on, and then forgot he had the messed up braid because it's quarantine and you can't always get to the barber. So sometimes you just gotta rock with what you got and do what you can do. Okay. All right. So let's see. Shabet's talking about he gonna unsubscribe because I don't get it together when I go on my lives. Whatever. I know where you live. I will hunt you down and resubscribe you. Okay. Travis says we do not care. Javon says I swear I hate bonnets. Travis says I'm sorry. I'm so conservative. Okay, let me fix my mouth to read this comment. Travis says bonnet for me means I'm just gonna say the oral. Finna be crazy. That's what he said.
Come on now. Come on now. Let me put in your head. Amen.
like having a pigeon on.
Man, can you say unencumbered? Come on, man.
Woo!
Well, so I just want to put that in context, right? And I'm not saying everybody or no one, right? But there are small things that women do that are incredibly sexy during the moment. Something as simple as her hair falling across her face when she's leaning down towards me. Oh man, it drives me crazy. So it can't be a generalization. We have to start saying, I don't care, but I don't want to learn from my peers not to care about certain things that I might actually care about.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
We agree. You know, it's real sexy when a woman's made up for you and you get the but all I'm saying is don't let that keep you from having a good time.
Don't let it stop you from getting your blessing.
Yeah, the robe, the big ugly robe. I'm not going to get any robe. You know what the robe I'm talking about.
The don't F with me robe. I'm on my cycle robe.
Yeah, the big rollers, not the little tiny ones.
The thick terry cloth. The terry cloth.
Pink joints. Yeah.
You're right. She can still get it.
She can still get it. Oh my God. Okay.
The dirty slippers, you know. With the
wait, with the part on the heel worn out, like you can see the foam underneath. Not the good house.
Heel touching the ground.
No! He said the heel touching the ground. Look, let me rebuke this in the name of Jesus. Ladies, I need your footwear. I need your footwear to be here, okay? This is a shoe.
Yeah.
I'm dropping my thing. This is a shoe. This is your heel. Your heel should not be here. Your heel should not be here. It should be somewhere in this vicinity. I'm gonna need us to get in the toes.
The toes do this over the front. That's called the primate shoe.
If you have your shoes on and yet you can pick things up with your toes, that's a problem. You're not in your size. You're not
holding on to the shoe from the bottom, from the top.
Wait a minute! You're not using the strap. You're not employing the strap. Your toes are holding your shoe on. Your toes are like. Okay. If you have on slides and the slides can go this far back, I shouldn't see your ankle past the top. Like just a little bit of your toe, okay?
That's called a sock.
I have a random question. By the show of hands, because there's 3 of you guys, so we're just taking a sampling of the demographic. How many of you guys give a rip about bra and panties matching? If you care about the bra and panties matching, give me a thumbs up. If you don't care, what's that?
I said if I care about it, I don't care.
I mean, I know she's gonna get it either way, but like, are we like, bra and panties don't match, or are we? I don't even see it.
No man ever has said, "You a mixed match. You ain't going down."
Take your ass home. Take your ass to Victoria's Secret before you come foolishly coming to my house.
Okay. I don't even care if you have any on. I never even had. You could have came in with some lint and some pasties. I don't care.
Your boobies and your butt match, so that's enough matching for me. Okay. Javon says it's a plus, but not a deal breaker. Janicia is dying. Crystal is dying.
Yes.
He said my mama made me in that outfit. Okay, no ma'am, not acceptable. Y'all making my nose run. See, it's a good thing I'm not trying to be cute in these YouTube streets because I have no shame. Y'all got my, oh my God. Brizzle says, don't really pay attention to it. If I mention it, it's just to mess with you. And then Javon says it's a plus, but not a deal breaker. What about nail polish? So if she has white toenail polish and pink nails on her hands, are y'all worrying about that?
No.
Okay.
And most women are more worried about that
than
they think that we are because they misunderstand how men think.
Oh, no. Okay.
We ain't sending nobody home for not matching fingernails and toenails.
Now, if your toes don't match,
he said if they don't match, like this. Hold on.
Oh, man.
If your toes are throwing up gang signs, okay.
Yeah.
Robert says if her toes stink, her feet stink, that's another story. Okay, so do all feet matter? Okay, do all feet matter? Would you stop messing with a woman or dealing with a woman if her toes are throwing gang signs or she got like if she doesn't have pretty feet? Like, where is that on the level of? Because I hear so many men talking about, oh, I want her to have good feet. And remember that movie Boomerang and whatnot. So like, how important? He said feet matter. How important are feet? How much do they matter? On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 is like, hell no, get away from me. I'm not messing with you. 10 is, I don't care. You can get it.
Can you give some context to that? Like, what's better?
Give some context. I like pretty feet.
Are you kicking her out of the bed, though?
Things I look for. Not unless you want to do it on the floor.
Touche.
I like that.
So let's say her let's just say she has swollen ankles. Let's say I'm trying to think what would make a guy say 5 feet. Maybe she has corns. Cankles. She got corns. Okay. Corns on the side of her.
Just turn in the feet.
Oh my God. He said clean and well kept, not kicking. Oh, you guys. Robert says he he's not kicking her out of the bed, but he said he's watching his sheets, making sure they're not torn up. Oh, okay. Oh, Kimberly clapped back like the clapper. She said, it's funny how, you know, when we started, I find it funny how, okay, Kimberly says, it's funny how these men request nice feet, and meanwhile, they can walk on hot coal without flinching.
Looking like Tyrone Biggums.
They got a whole layer underneath.
Even if your feet like you've been drop kicking powdered donuts, I might not care at the moment, but afterwards, I'm like, hey, what?
You need to get that together.
Hey, like what's? Yo, we may have to have a conversation.
Let's talk about it.
Right.
You don't want her laying on the couch, putting her feet in your lap.
You cut through?
My 800 thread count, we need to get some reimbursement. Oh my God, y'all. Okay. Woo! Okay. It's summer and we're going out somewhere. I have a problem with that mix match. Wait, if it's summer and we're going out somewhere, then I have a problem with that mix match polish. Interesting. Okay, see, so some guys have preferences, some guys don't. Okay, I want to get into more societal stuff, okay, and a lot of the worries that women have. Chavez is good at talking about the fact that men and women both want sex probably equally, but there's a lot more stigmas negatively for women as far as being sexually free, which my air quotation marks, it's referencing a video that I did about bamboozlement, but you can watch it on your own time. Okay, he said not kicking out of the bed, but I'll keep it cold so she can keep her socks on. He said,
oh, that's messed up.
Now y'all are...
That's strategy, baby. That's strategy.
That's strategy.
That is strategy.
You are. What did it say?
Strategy.
You're a. What is it? Procedure. I forgot the term. No, he was saying that he's a. When you come up with strategies, you come up with solutions. I can't think of the term for what you're doing. And I said I like coming up with.
Performance improvement.
Process improvement.
Process improvement. There we go. So you're going to improve that process of having your sheets torn up by turning on the air. Okay. So Kimberly says, now, are you guys all paying for these pedicures and manicures you're requesting? Now, they are a pretty penny. Okay, they are. Okay.
Yes,
Right. Oh, he said, yeah. Oh, they said that with a quickness, y'all. I didn't even finish to get to the question mark.
Don't do that, then. Stop doing that.
Stop doing what?
Okay.
Why?
So
no, stop doing what though?
All right. So when we say we're quickly willing to pay for something, no offense, hear me out when I say this. That is called prostitution.
I consider it an investment. I like nice.
Right.
I'm investing into the woman.
He said, I'm considering investment.
Invest in a relationship, not a moment.
I do invest in a relationship because in that moment, her feet ugly.
Look,
I want to get them fixed, but
I'm with Anthony. Yeah.
So I have a question.
Because
I'm investing in
she'll go through her whole day feeling special.
Yeah.
Because she been pampered and all that. It ain't just for her moment, but she go out to the world feeling that positive energy. So I'm with
exactly.
I got you, and I'm not saying you're wrong. What I'm saying is that many men have a propensity to embody a wallet, not a virtue.
No, I think Anthony said we gotta get some of our shine back, DC. You on here just everybody's gonna be following you. You're gonna be a celebrity. So we gotta get some of our shine too. We gonna have our moment too.
So I have a question.
I'm not saying again.
If you pay for something as a
I'm not saying not to do that.
Yeah.
If you as a man, if you're saying paying for something is like prostitution, if you pay for something in the hopes of getting sex, what does it say if you don't pay for something and you get sex? Does it take her from being a prostitute to being a
fair exchange is no robbery?
I just heard a video by Miles Monroe, or it was a teacher by Miles Monroe. And one of the things he said is when you invest in a woman, whatever you give a woman, she's multiplied.
Yep.
I think that's the core belief. I think that's a learned core belief.
Learned core belief.
Yeah, I think that we hear
the way he explained it, and I'm not saying it's no better, but he said give a woman sperm, she gives you a baby. She doesn't give you exactly what you gave her. She isn't going to get sperm. She's going to multiply.
I agree.
That sperm into a baby.
If that
don't turn into a meal.
No, and we respectfully disagree with you
Yes, Kimberly.
Let me say, I agree with what you're saying. If that woman is of reciprocal nature.
Kimberly, the link is in Facebook.
Well, I understand reciprocation because, and this is going in my own experience, because I have been in situations where, I'm calling situations now where when I gave two, I got nothing back.
Right.
And it caused me to withdraw. There is a woman out there that all they do is take.
Yeah.
They don't grow anything, and that's for me. It tells me the difference between a woman and a girl. Because a woman is all I want to do something back. A little girl, she was take.
I agree wholeheartedly.
You know what I'm saying?
High five. Come on.
Oh yeah, I'm a high five too.
So now you guys.
The essence of the thing, you know what I mean? So like, if you invest in, every investment doesn't work out. But when you hit the one that makes you rich, you don't talk about those ones that didn't work.
So let me ask you
it's about who you are. Some of my investments might not work, but I'm still an investor. And so, I'm winning because I invest. So, I mean, yeah, it's going to be some women that take advantage and that happens. But
so let me ask you
find the one. All right.
Have you ever heard of fractional shares?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, there are some things you want to invest a fraction of what you intend to get out of it. You don't intend to get anything out of it. That's why you invest so little in it. If something happens to blossom or bloom, great. But if not, that wasn't your focus in the first place. It's like penny stocks. So I think, again, to kind of piggyback on what Anthony was saying, we, and please don't, take this with a grain of salt. Men are not taught to value themselves enough to find the right woman to value them. We show them personality traits and learned behaviors that allow them to treat us like wallets. We are just as important and as imperative and valuable as they are. So when we act like wallets, we'll be treated like wallets.
You get into my content
now. High value male, and I'm a high value male. Although I'm married, I'm a high value male. So I got my stuff together. I got my good credit score. I know how to create a vision. I've done all these things over time. But when it came to women, once I realized what I was, I started attracting the right kind of woman. So that meant that what I invested was in an investment that I had already researched. I'm not going to just get anybody's toes done. Right. I used to be on Black Planet.
That's not what I was talking about. What I'm saying is, I've had men, and the only reason I have my camera off is because my name is Kim. My name is Kim.
Oh, like, who's that? The man that found us.
No. Listen. I just got out the shower, so I don't have my camera on. But to your point, I'm not asking you to pay for every woman's pedicure and manicure. But I find that a lot of men like to make a lot of demands and request for what they want and not willing to do that for her. I would do the same thing. If I'm requesting a guy, a bottle of cologne, I have no problem paying for that. I don't ask for money, but if I'm a demand something, like, why not get it for him?
What's the difference between a demand and a request?
Either one of them. I mean, you can request. It doesn't mean it's going to be granted. So I'm not going to say it's a huge difference. But I will say this. You don't get to come in and request or demand anything and not pay for it.
I disagree with that sentiment, and I will tell you why respectfully. There is a difference between a request and demand. One's more aggressive, and it has an expectation. A request is a desire. More importantly, we each want things from one another. When we start moving away from that concept, we lose the connection that could potentially be there.
Yeah, but build that rapport.
Right. So that goes back to what I was saying initially. If a man is coming into your life and he is demanding something from you, that is already the wrong man.
Now that's not my argument. I gotta get that.
What I am saying is, no man or woman should be walking in anyone's life demanding anything. We should have established a rapport. Interactions take time and effort.
Absolutely.
And a man should not be required to pay for anything any more than a woman. That's not a man's purpose. A man's purpose is to provide structure and
I never said that was a man's purpose. But I'm responding to the request. I'm responding to that. I'm not saying that, you know, I look at you, oh, you need to pay for my hair and nails. It's a reaction. Is that an initiation?
Right, but a reaction is not, everything should be a response, not a reaction. I think we can agree.
Okay, reaction, response, whatever.
There's a difference.
I understand, but you get what I'm saying. Don't play. Don't.
No, I'm not playing.
It's all about semantics. It's all about semantics. Don't throw the semantics at me.
You just be level setting what you're saying versus the facts, right? So what I am saying is you can have a desire, not an expectation. That's not just you as a woman. I said, and men, right? It goes on both sides. This is not gender related. It is a learned behavior that it should be a specific way. So I'm not disagreeing with you. What I'm doing is level setting some of the information you have that are feelings versus the statistics, right? So statistically, a lot of women feel a certain way because that's learned behavior. A lot of men feel the same way. Men feel like, oh, if I like her to have her toes done and I barely even know her, I should be paying to get it done. Incorrect. Some women, just like some men, feel the same thing. So I'm not putting this on women. I'm not putting it only on men. I'm saying that this is learned behavior that we've all learned is factually incorrect. If I demand you to do something, go ahead, I'm sorry.
That's understood. It's just that, you know, when I saw the comment about the requesting a woman look a certain way or requesting that a woman have her nails and her toes done a certain way, I'm like, that's nice to request, but what are you doing for that? You know what I mean? Like and I'm not saying that this is what
like I'm going to incur a cost doing what you wanted.
There's another voice. I don't know.
She's saying like if I'm incurring a cost trying to make an accommodation for you, she's saying, correct me if I'm wrong, sister, but she's saying that she would feel it would be fair for him to contribute. So if what he's asking,
a transactional relationship.
Thank you.
There's nothing wrong with it.
You're welcome.
So I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. If you and that man have a transactional relationship, that's perfectly fine. But let's be candid and truthful about what it is. It is, if you want me to do this, you're gonna have to give me that. That's called a transactional relationship.
I have a question about that. So I understand, like I agree with you on your on the face of it, like transaction, I want this, I want that. However,
absolutely,
if you're sensitive to her financial situation, for example, let's say that she says, I really want this specific, or he says, I really want this specifically, and that person would never have purchased it for themselves. But only because you're asking for it, you're saying that you don't in any way feel like that's on you to help out with that?
No, what I'm saying, if I'm requesting something outside of your normal parameters that you can't afford to do and you would not normally do.
Or you just don't want to do, right?
Or you don't want to do, right? Let's use natural hair as an example, right?
Right.
If your hair is normally natural, and I'm like, I like your hair straight. I like it better straight.
Perfect example.
Yes. Then I should pay to get it straight. On the other hand, if you normally get a manicure, and I say I like manicures, and unless I choose to, don't expect me to pay for that manicure just because now you have a segue.
No,
I think we're now on the same page. No, but he's saying to clarify. So I think that what he's saying is he agrees with you. What I hear him saying is he agrees with you if this is outside of your norm. So let's say if you normally go buy groceries every week, don't all of a sudden expect him to have you buy groceries. But if he
No. I get that. I agree with that. What I'm saying is it's the requesting of, okay, so I get a haircut every 2 weeks. And I get pedicures and I get manicures. That's something that I do whether there's a man in my life or not. So I'm referring to, there was somebody that said, I think Yonci, you asked about the different colors on the hand versus the toes.
Yeah, mismatching nails and hands.
Yeah,
toes
and then some guy said that, if we're out, I want the matching this and the matching that. Now, she's going to get her nails done regardless. But now you're requesting that there's a certain color or a way that she should get it done. That's pretty much what I'm referring to for the most part.
So and I don't know this, so I may need some education. Does it cost more to get one color?
It depends on the way in which you get them. They have different colors, but you have S&S, you got gel, you have acrylic, you got I mean, and they have different price points.
Or sis, I'll say this. To her point,
some S&S colors don't have them in the gel form.
So, so I'm going to make sure I'm understanding and tracking properly.
Yeah.
Is a man, so if a man says, I like gel nails, did I say that right? Gel nails?
Yes.
All right. So the man says, I like gel nails. You're like, well, I don't usually get those. Those are like $40, homie. You're like, I'm not going to go get those gel. So it's up to you. I agree with you. I agree with you wholeheartedly, because that then takes the up a notch. So now we're getting into things that are outside the normal parameters. So I absolutely agree. Again, I'll go back to Brazilian blowout. Right? If I like, well, I like to have this. I want to be bone straight, like you're from Asia. Then I need to come up with that.
Bone straight from Asia money.
Mm-hmm.
No, there's a perfect,
very expensive.
Perfect example. So Winter Williams is a good friend of mine. She's also on social media. She has an amazing platform. She did a live not that long ago. And she specifically said this. She said, I like having weaves because of the practicality of it. She lives in a climate that's humid and it's just easy. Put it in. She doesn't have to worry about it for however long. I don't know how long weaves last, but however long weaves last. Her brand new husband loves her hair natural, but her hair requires a lot of upkeep. So because he was asking her to do that, he committed to weekly, which is what she needs, is weekly appointments. He was willing to make that accommodation. And it's a stretch for her because, you know, she's not used to it not always being laid the way she wants. When you have natural hair, as you can see, my hair is frizzing up right now. So there were, yeah, your hair is laid beautifully, by the way. So I think we have come
nice and shiny over there.
Right. I think that we have come to an agreement on this topic. I want to get to these comments really quick. Let's see. Chavez says, sorry. Okay, I'm gonna get to Robert. Robert says, I can't speak for a man. I'm speaking for myself because I am the man in my world. But if my lady wants her toes done, they're getting done. Notice I said my lady. I would never get a stranger's toes done. People are agreeing with, they said he is correct, so I'm not sure because we're so far past. Chavez says it's not a request. Choose people who represent themselves in a way that's appealing to them. Robert says, I always turn a woman down the first time she asks me for something just to see if she's going to stick around, like to see if she's just using it for a wallet. Brizzle says, then why is she upset? I'm not sure what that was regarding. Let's see how much they cost. Okay, I'm assuming that if he's asking for something extra, he'll pay for it. What men are talking about is wanting a woman who. Okay, so a man who doesn't like a weave will most likely not approach a Winter Williams. Interesting. Okay, so I want to get into the thing that triggered me so bad last week. We're going to walk away from sex for a minute and we're going to get into communication.
Okay, good topic.
So thank you. So I want to figure this out. So many men say that women are nagging. This is twofold. So many men say women are nagging. And when we really unpack it, it's because she has very calmly made a request, which he agrees upon. This is a woman's definition. She's made a request of her man. He's agreed upon it. And time passes by. He hasn't done it. Time passes by. He hasn't done it. So she then brings it up again. He says, yes, I will do it. He doesn't do it in the fashion and the timely fashion that she thinks he should, or that she's asked. Time goes by, she asks again. Now she's painted as a nag. I described it from the woman's perspective. That's how we see it. For men, and I'll break this into two questions because I was going to throw both of them at you at once. What is the difference, or what makes a woman a nag versus somebody who has had their word, the promise broken to them? Because for us, we look at it as the promise was broken or you're not doing it in a timely fashion. So maybe you said, yeah, I'll take the trash out, but I didn't mean 3 weeks later. Like I meant before the trash day. You know what I'm saying? Or I wanted it done now because the guests are coming and the fish that we cooked last night, I don't want it stinking up the house. So where is the disconnect? Why are women automatically called nags?
That is a great question. I will say I have nagged before, and I've also made a request that was, or a promise that was broken. So when I nag, it's usually because I'm pushing my aggravation off on another person. They haven't really done anything to warrant it. It's just that I'm in a state of aggravation, and there were times where I did not know how to verbalize. Instead, I would just nitpick or, say, well, why you got to leave the sock when I just could have picked the sock up off the floor? So I would say, just from my perspective and my own experience. Now, I've also made a request, like with the whole trash thing, and, okay, I'll do it. And then when I get quiet and do it myself, it becomes a problem. So I think that's, for me, in my experiences, that's the difference between the request and it being honored or not versus nagging.
Okay, so fellas, I'm curious to see what the guys have to say. What's the difference between a woman making a request and nagging?
So I'm going to agree with what our special guest just added.
Her name is
No,
Kim.
seriously, like when we talk about communication breakdowns, so if you have an expectation in your mind and it hasn't been properly communicated and you're expecting it to happen, and you kind of address it aggressively, you address it, passive aggressively, especially. Then, yeah, that can be seen as a nag. But when you break a promise, yeah, you foul. And, a self-aware man will say, even if he don't say it to his woman, he'll say to his fellow, yeah, man, I messed that up. I was supposed to do that. So there's a big difference between a nag and an expectation that's properly expressed and they broke their promise didn't follow through.
Okay, and do you think that a lot of people misuse that term, meaning all of it is lumped under the category of nag? Man, why are you nagging? When in reality, some of it is rule breaking, some of it is a broken word versus that. Do you think that men unfairly throw that term around?
I'm gonna use some PC technique right here, but
hey,
some guys grew up with a father or a person in charge that just had that women nag, so they think that makes them a man to call women nag. So that's a reality that they create. So sometimes it's just cool to say that, or they feel like it's the right thing to say.
That's a good perspective, a good way to look at it.
I agree.
He taught me that. So thank you, brother. He taught me that.
And I want to
It's
say
all
this.
about narrative. This is all about narrative.
I want to say this too, TC, and I know I haven't let you respond to this, but this is something, and I'm being dead serious. This is something that aggravates me to my soul. And we had a women's group and we were unpacking all this stuff. A lot of women feel like they are not liked as a whole. They are just liked for their whole or wholes. Okay. It is something that is so aggravating, and we are objectified so much in the media, so I know it plays a part. I mean, look at the rap songs, look at the music videos, look at even the imaging of marketing and commercials and things like that. How do we navigate? Because a lot of times there are jokes, which I feel like there's a lot of truth behind jokes, which is what makes it funny. How do we help fix the situation where women are looked at as annoying and just a nuisance? The reason why I say this is because I'll do posts where I say, what do you wish women did more of? What do you wish women to do less of, or what have you, or what makes the perfect woman? And there's always the joke of a woman who shuts up. Not don't talk about this, but a woman who shuts up. It sounds like the ideal woman is a woman with her legs open and her mouth shut. How do we get away from that energy? Because I believe that is very toxic, but I feel like it is very prevalent. Do you have any advice on how we can get away from that as a culture?
Man,
look, he's like,
Okay, so one, we need some context for that, because I think that that's a very broad, right? We're painting a picture with a really broad brush. Not that it's any less factual, right, or relevant or valuable, but it is pretty broad. So what we have to agree upon, and I say this consistently, is that sometimes we are surrounded by people who are just as stupid as we are, whether we be a man or a woman. And some of our behaviors, which are learned, we then communicate on. It's like living in a dysfunctional household. I grew up where I didn't actually have any contact with my mother. I had it intermittently. And when she got angry with me, she called me a black MF. I was making homemade popcorn. Don't ask me why.
Me too.
I mean, it's good. It's a good snack. It's delicious. Not just good. It's delicious.
You guys, I'm so sorry. Quick pause. Quick pause. They're saying that it's buffering, and so they lost everything you said after your mother saying black MF. What, baby?
Yes, it froze. I was like, I want to see mommy, and then I'm like, what? She froze?
My child is watching it the other time.
Oh, wow.
When did she start watching? Like, wait.
From the beginning, because I didn't catch on when she said, Mama, you have a new subscriber. So it didn't even click. So I didn't send her to the room with my channel. Like,
Yeah, you sent her to the room with the computer.
She came in and said it's buffering, Mom.
Mom, please.
Right.
You know the wrong, it was messaging.
Sandra says she's taking notes. Oh my God, I cannot. Okay. I can't even breathe right now, y'all. This is a grown-up discussion, so I'm gonna need you to log off. Oh, Jesus be offense. Okay. Whoo, y'all, I can't even.
Yonci about to die of
She did the classic wave my face. Oh my God. Oh my God, I'm crying. Oh my God.
My daughter is really gonna be like, what's the scoop method, Mom? Let's unpack that. I'm like, what? Oh my God.
Yeah, Mom, it is buffering.
But she was so concerned, like, make sure the content isn't interrupted. Like, let me tell you, let me take a little sidebar. My daughter is a ride or die. Like, this chick, she plays no games. She is like my PA. She is my assistant. She is my biggest cheerleader. She literally is like, oh my God, Yonci's my mom. Like, she tells me that, like, wow, like, she fans out. She's so cute. Or she'll say, we went somewhere one time and she was like, Mommy, do they know who you are? I was like, honey, I am not on that level right now. I'm pretty sure that they're not concerned. But in her mind, I am bigger than life. And I think that's so cool. And she feels like anything I put my hand to, I can attain. So I think that's amazing. But if I have a photo shoot, she literally will not let me touch my bags. She is like, I got this. She's 8. She's like, I got this. I have this little rolling cart. She's like, no, Mommy, you do you. If I'm putting my heels on, she's like, let me buckle it. I got you. Like, she takes it so seriously. And so for her, that's her, like, on audiovisual. She's like, oh, we're having a problem. My mom needs to be notified. She's just so precious. She gets me my waters.
Too much, not bandwidth.
She's like, the sound quality is a little, we can do. Yeah, so shout out to her. This girl is, and this is why it's such a blessing working from home. And it's not her listening to the show, but blessing working from home and a blessing that we're doing distance learning, because my daughter is able to see her mom living out her dream and her mom hustling and making it happen. Because I just quit my job in July so that I could do this full time. And I think it's such a testament to her to be able to see something happening positively, and me taking control and not feeling sorry for myself because I'm a divorcee and I gave up 12 years after working, lost the time with my degree. So I shout out to her. That was just, I had to recover from that. That was too much. He says she gonna hit the reset button on this Wi-Fi to keep the content going. Yes. She's already learned. She's learned to troubleshoot with the pull the power and then wait 30 seconds to put it back in. She was over there like, should we call tech support with Spectrum? I'm like, okay, ma'am. Oh my God, you guys. Okay, so let's get back to, and actually I'm gonna go check on her really quick, but if you could pick back up where you were, TC, where you started out by saying your situation, I'm just gonna paraphrase, was a little bit toxic with communication, and that your mother would, okay, so we'll just jump in there and I'll be right back, you guys. Y'all see, this is why you have to be willing to go with the flow and not look for perfection. Okay.
All right. So my dysfunctional household was through the lens of being normal. That means that the way I interacted with my mates, although it was dysfunctional and toxic at times, was also normal to me. And that's how it works out from both a woman, what we call nagging, and I'm doing air quotes here for those who can't see, nagging, and men perceive it as such. Because from a encoding perspective, right, meaning encoding is me projecting, and then decoding is me, someone, the other person translating. If I hear it as being, because subconsciously I know I didn't keep up my end of the bargain, it is nagging, even if it's not. But Kimberly, absolutely agree. Yeah, all of my male compatriots here, I agree absolutely what you're saying. But some of it is learned behavior, and if we don't dig into that, we're not going to be able to have a successful relationship.
Right.
My wife has said, "Hey, when you cook popcorn, can you wash out the dish in the pan?" At first, I wasn't. I'd leave it until the morning. She gets up before I do. So now, like, all right, well, let me take care of it right now, so that she doesn't have to worry about it. So that's not her nagging. That's her asking me to do something.
TC, can I ask you something?
Absolutely.
So at what point did you make the transition from, I guess, the toxic relationships or the toxic behaviors and learning what nagging is and what it's not? Like, when did you start to see your wife making the request as simply that, a request such as nagging?
So it actually occurred before I got married. I used to live in Baltimore for the majority of my life. I moved to California about 6 years ago. And I moved here for work, and I came here without any friends. I left my car, everything. Back in Maryland, I was single. I had to take time to get into me to discover who I was. Mm-hmm. And I got mentors. I picked up books. I got people to be honest with me with all the things. I looked at my past and unpacked my bag. And that helped me to understand, not necessarily just when it was not just if she was nagging, it was when. Because, like you said, Kimberly, sometimes we nag. So it is, I had to learn the difference and learn how to communicate when it was nagging versus when it was her informing me based off me being honest to me. Okay. It sounds bad when I say this, but I have to be me. I have to be honest with me first before I worry about being honest with my wife.
About that. That's the proper way. That's the way you're supposed to.
I can't give her anything unless I look at me. I have to be selfish enough to do that. So I have to be selfless enough to be able to communicate with her properly.
I'm gonna feel that, TC. Thank you. That's a great way to put that.
I got a little bootleg.
I got a little
bootleg solution. So I'm gonna see if this works, you guys. Hold on a second. I am determined. I like the
mini trampoline.
Right. I was gonna say that I have put everything in my life on blast. Okay, give me 1 second, you guys. I can't stress enough how much perfection is overrated. We're gonna get this all the way together. So let's see. All right. I don't know why I cannot. Oh, there we go. Okay. So let's see if this works, you guys. This is too funny. Oh, so I have a praise report. Okay, I'm gonna get my church lingo. I have a praise report. Thank God for Jesus. Okay. Y'all see my snacks. We're not about to plug Nestle. Okay. So can you guys see? I mean, you can at least see this is a compromise because I can't sit here and hold it the whole time. But at least you guys can somewhat see. And then let me turn this way. Okay. But here's the deal. My daughter, I completely forgot. We were joking earlier. YouTube, I hope you're not listening. But we were joking earlier about turning on a channel to get my watch hours up. Turning on a channel and just putting it on mute and letting it play in the background. Well, she literally did that. So she had it on mute this whole time. So God covered me. And little Munchkin was not in my conversation. So she just happened to be clicking and saw the screen was frozen. So that was that. Sanders, that was hilarious. He said, wait till she gives you the bill. Adonis, hey, what's up? TC is saying what I've been saying. A woman can't help a man to get to that place of understanding. I'm mad that I missed that good part. Oh, you're so cute. You can, baby. And Sanders says facts because leaving something as simple as cleaning a dish and even making up your bed can lead to a bigger mess, which can come up in an argument. I hate that I missed what you guys shared, but did you guys have anything to say before we move forward?
Kimberly, gentlemen?
When it comes to nagging, it's someone always told me that to keep my yay and my amen. So And then she said, why wasn't it done? And of course, I'm sitting there dumbfounded, like I can't come up with an answer as why it wasn't done. And I would get it done. And eventually, over time, because I hated that question, why you didn't get it done, I was just going ahead and get it done. But I have run into women that feel like they need to overstate because they wanted it done. I've learned over time in my experience that sometimes when women say something, they're communicating it, but we don't understand the importance of it. And so my difference in priority, where I put it in the box, like she tells me to take the trash out, I'm thinking about, well, I got to paint this house, I got to do this, I got to do this. When I get around to taking the trash out, I'll get to it. And I put it at the bottom of the priority, where hers is at the top, because it's at the top of her mind. And while I'm painting the house, she'll come back and say, I asked you to take the trash out, you're going to get the trash out. And what I communicate back to her is, I'll get to it later. Or, yes, I heard you, I'm going to get to it. And then she comes back to me, then I ask you to take the trash. I'm like, yeah, you asked me to take the trash out, I'm going to get to it later. But what I didn't understand, what I learned that I didn't understand, I didn't understand how important it was for me to take that trash out in that moment. And so I learned to, when she said something to me, stop what you're doing. The first thing I asked her was, can I get back to it? And a lot of times I say, yeah, I can get back to it. But you take the trash out, because if I don't take the trash out, I'm going to continue to hear her mouth. And so you take the trash out, it's a negative response. I'm responding negative to it, but in my mind, I'm responding positive to it because I'm getting it done. And I guess a lot of times, what happens in the back end is, why you don't talk to me about what you're trying to get done? Those are questions I start to hear. And I'm like, well, you wanted me to get this done. I got it done. Why are you having an attitude about it? If you don't say anything, you don't respond to it, you don't respond with emotion. And it's a negative response because I turn it negative because now I'm stopping what I'm doing. My priority is here. And I'm taking care of her thing aggressively, but I'm getting it done. But it's like dissatisfying to her. So like every time I tell you to do something, you get mad. And it's not that I'm doing it on purpose, it's just that I've developed that negative response. And I learn now, especially when we're dealing with my clients, and I learn now, I'm like, I have to clarify with her and say, is it important? You need this done now. And most times people say, yes, it needs to be done now. And I'm like, okay, I'll do it now. Or a lot of times I'll be like, can you, especially with my clients, I'll tell them, can you write it down for me so I can have it here, so I can put it in my calendar and I can let you know, this is your spot. This is what I'm going to get to you. This is how I'm going to handle it. And that, I guess that was my positive, trying to be positive in the response to it. If I don't want to hear nagging, then I got to give her, I learned to give her a slot. To give her that slot she needs so that she knows she has this slot. In this particular time, I'm going to put you in this slot, and I have to learn to communicate. I'm going to put you in this slot, and when I get down to this slot, I'm going to take care of what you need me to take care of. If it's not a part, if it's not something I have to do now, then I'll do it later. And I guess that's it.
No, No, that's good. And I love this because a lot of times, like, I'll see people and the situation seems so fixable, it seems so simple. And a lot of times, like, I see men, they're like scared to talk to the woman. Like, well, let me not do this. I want to tiptoe. We all heard that saying, happy life, happy wife type of thing. And I feel like that's unfortunate because I feel like no spouse should have greater priority when it comes to their displeasure. And you hear a lot about like, oh, if I do that, I'm gonna have to sleep on the couch, that type of a thing. I really want to, what I'm hoping to be able to do with my platform is to help people to be able to get on the same page a lot easier. A lot of times women will go to a certain place because they're frustrated. And a lot of times they're frustrated because of what their partner is doing, knowingly or unknowingly. And so if a woman tries to express what it is that's bothering her, a lot of times she'll get the eye rolling, like there's a lot of men have an issue with having a conversation about an issue. what would you say, if anything, and I know this is a very broad statement, so, it's going to require, it probably requires more than that. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to figure out a way to make it even closer. So just bear with me as I adjust this. But how can a woman, this is what I'm going to say more succinctly. What can a woman do to better ensure that she's going to be, her request for communication is going to be met with the least amount of pushback? So what can I do with my man? And obviously we know the main things, like don't come rude, don't be disrespectful, don't try to talk to him in the middle of the playoffs game. Like, we know those obvious things. But what can she do proactively to let his guard down a little bit and not make him have that fear in his eyes, like, dear God, we're about to have this conversation?
Get to the point. And I'm saying that.
I'm laughing because I know what you're talking about.
And I'm saying that loosely because I wrote this down in the group, and I told someone that I have a few people in my life that they come to me for advice and things like that, and a lot of times it's women. And I have this one girl, and I'll tell her verbatim what she's telling me. And she'll tell me a long story, and I know I have to literally have to turn off all the shit I'm doing, because I know I gotta listen to it, and I gotta pay attention to the story, because in this story there's a climax, there's about 6 questions. There's it's gonna come to a denouement, and then it's gonna come to, okay, what's next? It's gonna come to a point, and then I'm supposed to give a solution out of all that without a piece. So it's like some women that talk to the S and without a piece. And you're sitting there like, what is your point? So I gotta intensely listen to her to understand her main point. And then once I get to the main point, then I have to be able to come up with a solution to her problem. Within all that big story, the story could take forever. And I guess a lot of it, what we've read is forever, because it's always in, it's 4th and 1. They're about to go into the goal line. The most exciting part of the game, and that's when they want to have that conversation. If you don't get her that conversation, it's like, salt and lemon for the rest of the night. There ain't gonna be no dinner, there ain't gonna be no nothing, there ain't gonna be
there gonna be repercussions.
Anyway, we don't stop what we're doing, and I don't even have to tell me I do it on purpose. The couple of my mates, they're like, I do it. I'm like, why? I'm like, why do you do it on purpose? You know all of our responsibility. Thank God for DVRs today, but it's like you have to through that long story. You try to figure out what the problem is. Then once you come on with that speak, and it's like, and when we break it down, when we repeat it back to, okay, we said this, but your main point is this. And they're like, yeah, that's what I was talking about. So what should happen? I'm like, oh, well, where you did something that in our minds, we're like, why you didn't say that earlier? I'm like, you can just dump this whole story down to about 30 seconds. But we could have gave you the straight answer.
We give you too many details, it sounds like what you're saying.
And that's the irking part.
So condense
too many details, or he won't be in the mood to listen.
Right. Condense it down to the necessary details. And it's funny though, but it's true. When women tell a story, we talk about the mailman and what color pants he had on and what the weather was like. And the point of the story was to say he dropped off a piece of mail. So we do kind of, I know we are guilty about that. We like the details. And what's funny is in reverse, we'll get upset with you guys when you leave out the details. Like y'all be trying to say he dropped off the mail. We're like, that's it. Well, what was he wearing? What was his facial expression? What was the weather like outside? Like, we just communicate.
And why did he drop the mail off? Why he didn't hand it to you? Why he had to drop it off?
Yes. So he didn't say anything?
Why he dropped the mail?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Like, did he drop it in front of you, or while you were standing there? Did he disrespect you? Do I need to come in? All of that. You want to know?
So now this is funny.
Did you jack somebody up?
Votes.
That's the response to all those questions. How did that make you feel? And then let her go into her long answer about how they
got the cheat code, man.
women, we like details. That's why, you know, for instance, like when women go out, men talk about, well, I don't like the lashes and the nails. Like, we don't do that for y'all because y'all don't care about the details. Women, we care about that stuff.
Yeah.
So,
We all about the details. Now, vote 1865 says, for me, it's the same topics we disagree on over and over and over again. Some women can't agree to disagree. Oh, thank you, Kenneth. So I was wondering what the name was. So I did hear this in the group too, where a guy says that it's the repetitiveness, that it's like she's not letting it go. So I think we as women also, if they're saying that sometimes we feel like if we just keep bringing it up, we're going to strong arm our point. And it's like, well, when you brought it up on Monday, we disagreed. When you brought it up on Tuesday, we still disagreed. Wednesday, Thursday, yep, still on the same page. So at that point, I guess you just have to let it go, because she might be saying, I just want to have the conversation. But no, in reality, you're trying to sway me, and you're trying to make your argument. It wasn't that I didn't understand what you're saying. It's that I disagree. And here's my recommendation. Now, if you're married, that's another thing. But if you're in the dating phase, I was in a somewhat of a relationship. Like, I was getting to know him, and I kept having the same problem. And I felt like I was very adequately explaining what my issue was and what I had a problem with. And we kept hitting a bump in the road. And I got to the point where, oh, welcome. We got someone else coming in. I hope this is the person I think it is. I realized at that point I had to abandon ship, because sometimes you're so on a different page, you can get frustrated when you feel like every single thing is a battle. And it might not be that either person's wrong. It's just that you're just not compatible. So I think sometimes you have to deal with that. You know, like, I watched this video. It's on Mel Robbins' page on Facebook. And I mentioned this in my earlier speaking engagement, but she was interviewing Spirit, who is a licensed therapist. And Spirit was talking about compatibility. It was so good. And she talked about, it's an acronym for RISES. She said, you should be compatible on recreation, like how you like to spend your free time. You should be compatible on intellect. Oh, all right. We got a lot of people coming in. Intellect, like, you should be able to stimulate each other. That the stuff you want to talk about, is it the stuff that she wants to talk about or he wants to talk about? Then you have the S, sexual compatibility. That's super important, obviously. I don't have to break that down. Then you have spiritual compatibility, like your views on life and morals and things like that. And then finally, you have, I went out of order, but then there's emotional. So I had someone in my past tell me that I was too emotional. Then you have the next guy who thinks I'm perfectly emotional. Then you have people who totally stimulate me mentally. And then you have other people that I'm like rolling my eyes every time they state their thoughts. So she said the more out of the 5 you can have, which the ideals have all 5, but the more you can have out of the 5, the better. And I think a lot of times people are trying to put a square peg into a round hole. And it's not that either person is bad or wrong. You're just not right for each other. So if you have a person who's talkative.
Can I add to that?
Yes, please. And welcome to the people who are new. Oh, what's up? Okay. Go ahead, sir.
That goes, people are rarely disappointed with results, but they are, however, typically disappointed with the expectation of the result. So when we want something for someone, we have an expectation here that translates from here, even if we never really discussed that with that person prior to, and how our expectations are. And it could be both reasonable and unreasonable. However, we have to understand the difference between an expectation and a desire, and have those conversations, right? So if your pet, like, I have a pet peeve, but it's not cancer. I hate open cabinets. I just don't. Like, if you're cooking, I'm gonna walk behind you. I'm gonna close all the cabinets. I don't know.
The drawers open. Like, why? Yeah.
Right, I have a logical reason. I'm like, hey, I don't want to bump my head into this cabinet, right? But it could also be, I never got a pet peeve. So I have to look at it through the lens.
I would annoy you, and it's funny because all of my cabinets are open right now.
That would trigger me. I'll be like,
when I cooked earlier, I leave my cabinets open. I can just reach in and get my seasonings. It's funny that you say that, because my stuff is open right now.
I wonder what the logic with that was, because And I've had the same thing. I'm almost like decapitated myself having something open because I was thinking I'm going to reach back into it, but I like to have it closed. I want to ask you this, TC, and whoever else wants to chime in. And by the way, guys, I don't ever want you to feel like you're being held hostage on here. If you do have to go, you could just dip, give me the deuces, or if you don't even say anything, just dip, because this is obviously very casual, conversation. But I had this question with somebody, and I was constantly giving my feedback, like, I don't care for this, I don't like this, blah, 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 blah. And he was like, oh, it's so funny. Somebody just dropped off. Okay, so let's see, who is it? Oh, okay. I'm being nosy, guys, to see who joined in. So I had a hypothesis that I presented to the group, and I said, do men complain less to their partner about their partner? Meaning, let's say that there are 5 things that bug you. Are you going to speak on all 5 things? Or do you put a hierarchy and say, this one's super important, so I'm going to talk about these ones. I can live with it. I can deal with it. My thought process is, tell me everything, because I always want to try to level up and improve. And if there's something I'm doing consistently, I want to know. From that particular guy I was talking to, it was, man, pick and choose your battles. Like, I don't want to hear every little thing that bugs you. So give some feedback on how you guys operate. Do you pick and choose your battles? And if so, how the hell do you do that? Because I can't get past what's bugging me.
I can answer that.
Okay.
I've definitely been in that situation before in my marriage. And what I've realized is in those times where I had like a list of things, that's only because I failed to bring things up as they came along. Right? So sometimes when you go so long with sweeping, when you're constantly sweeping stuff under the rug, sweeping stuff under the rug, ignoring it, and then after you get to a point where you're like, okay, I got to say something, or I want to discuss some things. Well, now you got a whole shitload of laundry stuff that you want to air out. And to the person, it feels like you're dumping.
Got you.
Right? Because you're like, okay, this, and then this, and then this, and then this, and it's just too much. It can be a little overwhelming.
Yeah.
And so I think in a healthy relationship where it really helps if you have a relationship where as things come up, you're open and you're honest, and it doesn't feel like a threat when someone is expressing their displeasure, their discomfort, or whatever. But when you ignore things, thinking it'll go away, or, and then the other person may not even realize, they did anything that, because you didn't communicate. So when you ignore it, then that tends to happen more. But when you're being forthcoming about your emotions and your feelings more regularly, I think the chances are less that dumping feeling would be a scenario.
So that brings me to my second question. From your mate, would you rather be presented with it when it happens, like literally in that moment, or do you want that person to wait until there's like a cool, like chill, neutral time? Because that's the other thing. Some people are like, depending on where we are, I don't want to address it right away. So how do you navigate that?
Right. Yeah, it's a balance. If we are in a setting where we're, it may not, we could be in a particular setting where it's not appropriate to have that type of conversation. Yeah. Or if it's just us at the house and something happens, well, yeah, I would like to know about that right away. But the idea is that it needs to come forward, definitely not, weeks later.
Got you.
I've been in situations before, and I've been on the opposite end of the dumping, where it's like, okay, you bringing up stuff that happened 2 months ago. Like, I had no idea.
Right.
Let me add on to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when the police officer is looking at a fresh case, they say you get most of the evidence and impact in the first 48 hours.
Ooh.
The first 48 hours. Mm-hmm. That applies to a relationship. But also, and this from a performance improvement perspective, you also look at trends, right? If you did something one time, how much did it bother me? Versus if you do this consistently, necessarily constantly, will that then present a problem, right? So if you always leave my door unlocked You did it one time, it was a mistake. If you do it every time, it's a problem. So I say that, a habit is good, can be good and bad depending on what you're doing. But more importantly, based off of what the gentleman was just saying, if you are making a checklists are only good if you're buying groceries or getting gifts. They're never good when you're talking about problems. And you have to look through the lens of your trauma. And when I say trauma, I'm doing it in a sense, right? So if I have something that personally affects me, let me ask, why am I getting angry about the cabinet door being open?
Mm-hmm.
Versus saying, let me close this cabinet, because I can take care of that fairly quickly. It's not a big issue. It's the cabinet door being open.
Right.
And I'm not cooking at the moment, so it doesn't bother me. Me and my wife cook totally different. When she cooks, it's just like a tornado came through the kitchen and left everything from every other neighborhood on every counter. I cook differently. I clean up as I cook.
Yeah.
But I'm just happy that she's doing it.
Right. Right.
I'm just happy. Thank you.
Right. At least you got something to clean up, bro.
Right. So, you choose your battles by looking at things through your lens and checking yourself first. Why did it bother me? How big is it? Is it cancer? Where are you in your relationship? I don't care if you leave your cabinets open if I'm never at your house. I'm barely there. What difference does it make to me? Then I'm being a nitpick. Now I'm talking about from a man's perspective. Now I'm being a nitpick, right? Let's call men nitpicking and women nagging. Now I'm being a nitpick because I'm talking about a situation that we're not even there yet. It's not my issue yet.
Right. Cross that bridge when you get there.
Yeah.
Well, this is really interesting. I'm going to do a couple more questions, then we're going to wrap. I can't even believe it's been 2 hours. Like, I always have fun because I love the dating and relationship space, but I want to be sensitive to the fact that it's midnight on the East Coast right now. It's only 9 for us West Coasters. But, somebody was saying, I don't know what they said because I was turned around, but I think someone was saying goodnight. What was I going to say? I think that, well, before I say this, I'm going to do a shameless plug. If you guys want to learn more about me, I am everywhere on social media as Chasing Yonci, just like the name of this channel. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter. Twitter is pretty uneventful, so whatever. But if you guys would like to sow into my ministry, as they would say in the church, if you guys would like to contribute, you can become a patron using the Patreon website. It's patreon.com/Yonci. And what it does is it's a subscriber-based platform that allows people to contribute and feed into the ministry of content creators and other artists. And in exchange, I will do exclusive content and do some one-on-ones and more individual type of things. And you guys can give feedback to me directly. We'll do some lives and just a lot of fun stuff. The tiers are super inexpensive. The cheapest one is like $3 a month. So if you guys are enjoying my content and you want to do that, that would be amazing, an amazing way of showing support. Like I said, starting as low as $3 a month, and there's no commitment. You can do it 1 month and bounce off. But I do want to put that out there there's an option for those. And I'm also working on some merchandise if you guys want to support me that way. And I think this stuff is really cute. So I'll be putting those links up when I get a chance. But we are going to be doing this every Sunday at 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, unless I find there's a better time. But for now, I'm going to go with that. And we're going to be just talking about relationships. I feel that there's a lot we can learn from each other. I feel that, like you were saying, TC, about the experimental instead of just enjoying each other, there's a lot of times we're figuring things out as we go, and then we could end up kind of scarring our previous partners because we don't really know what's happening. So these conversations, I think, are helpful when we're in a positive headspace. You know, it's not a contentious situation. I don't think the battle of the sex arguments are that great and that productive. So when we get a chance to really sit down and unpack this stuff, I think it's really, really helpful. I would like to ask you guys if you have a question or a specific topic that you want us to talk about next week, go ahead and put that in the comments and I will take note of that. I always look at every single comment and let me know what you guys want to get into. If there's something specific, I'm also going to flip the script and we're going to have women giving their unbridled feedback about guys and what they're frustrated about with dating and sex and relationships. And I also want to say this before we sign off too. Thank you so much to all the guys who are in here. Let me just scroll here so you guys can see. So we've got, how many we have left? Hey, Chavez, we have, and I want to know which Raymond it is. I'm wondering if this is my favorite Raymond. But I want to see who's. What's that?
You already know.
Oh, all right then. It is.
How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Oh, I thought you were about to say something else. Yes.
No. It's 12 o'clock over here. I'm looking kind of scraggly, but I'll put my video on.
No, I understand. That's why I say you can come on audio, if you want. Now, I gotta shamelessly plug you, sir. So this guy I have so much respect for. We agree a lot on a lot of topics, and so I definitely want you to come back as well. I always miss you because schedules, whatever. But I really like your take on things because I know for me personally, we see a lot of things through the same lens. And I also like the contrast of the things that we don't agree. Like TC, I like that you were like, no, I disagree on, whatever. I like that. So we are going to definitely do this again. Let's go. By the way, Chavez said, let's all go over to Kim's and close everything. So before we go, guys, before we go, I want to give each of you guys an opportunity. If there is something that you want to share to the women out there, just in general, as long as under the umbrella of like dating and relationships and things like that. But if there's any advice that you can give to a woman, because there are a lot of women, I just spoke to a whole group of women who really want to find their partner and they really want to have joy within their relationship, those who are already in a relationship. If you have any advice that you want to get off your chest before we log off, speak to the women and give and empower them with information. So if whoever wants to go first, go first. And if you don't have anything, just remain silent and hold your peace. Don't feel pressure is what I'm trying to say.
Okay, well, I'll go ahead and go. There's a word that you've been using a lot, Yonci, tonight that I use in any of my speaking engagements, which is unpack. So one of the things I try to tell people is like, listen, did you ever allow a total stranger who doesn't know you and has none of your interest at heart to pack your bag for you to go on a trip? The answer is normally no. So most of us walk around with a bag that's packed that didn't belong to us. It's not truly our bag. The stuff in it is not really our stuff. It's stuff that we've been given, and the core of us as a woman is at the bottom of that.
Oh my God!
All learned these things.
You right? All so in my previous message. We
have to unpack and look at all that stuff. I'm gonna give you a quick analogy, and then I promise I won't take up too much time. I have a 17-year-old daughter. I walk past a room and I smell this weird odor. I'm like, what is that smell? We go in, we wash all of her clothes, we change her bed, we clean up everything, and I still can't find what's causing that smell. I look over and there's a book bag sitting in the corner. I go over to the book bag, I'm zipping it, and there's a sandwich in a sandwich bag that is old. That is the things that affect us as individuals, especially as women, right? We suffer that trauma and those challenges, and we continue to carry them, and we don't even realize it. We start seeing it from the lens of being normal versus dysfunctional. If you want to have a successful relationship, the first thing you have to do is unpack that bag. The second thing is to have a relationship with yourself.
Yes.
The third thing is to stop surrounding yourself with people who are willing to commiserate with you about unhappy and negative things. They're doing nothing but helping to cover you in the same mud that they're swimming in. You will never be able to reach the shore so long as you're wading in the middle of the mud.
That's a word. I definitely want you to come back on, and I'll probably do a one-on-one with you if your schedule permits, on the whole getting to know yourself, because you gave a lot of good tips, but I know there are a lot of people who are going to say, well, how do we execute? That sounds good, but how do I execute? So I would love to have you back to do practical application on those things, because for me, the reason my channel is called Chasing Yonci is because that's the journey I'm on. I want to know myself. And I said, I identified as a daughter, a wife, a mom, a neighbor, a cousin, a friend, but I didn't know who Yonci was. I couldn't answer a lot of questions about myself that a standard dating app would ask you. And so it was a journey that I went on intentionally seeking Yonci, and I'm still on this journey because, as you talk about, there's a lot of societal norms. There are also a lot of pressures, conscious and subconscious. So you have your parents who rule over you while you live under their roof, especially if you have a Black set of parents. It's my way or the highway, and I have no problem telling you how fast you can get out. Okay. I had a sibling who had her bags packed for her. I came home and her bags were on the curb. She crossed the line, boom, she was gone. Like my parents played 0 games. So minor or not, you know, we did the whole, oh, we're gonna call it CPS. They say, here's the phone number, we will call it for you. Like, what would you like? Enjoy foster care. Like my parents did not. That's the Black house, right? So you grew up having to abide by these rules. And a lot of times people in your life use the penal system to get you to act the way you should. And you have to learn and renegotiate all the relationships in your life, because a lot of those people are operating on how they were taught. And I talk about this a lot, where I say, in a healthy relationship, there should never be manipulation, period. It should be here you go, and you either take it or you don't take it. It should be period. There should be no repercussions. There should be not repercussions like you could do whatever you want, but I'm saying within reason. There should be no repercussions. There should be no subliminal tactics. There should be no, well, if you do this, I'm gonna give you that, like the bartering system. You should have a partner who respects you and loves you enough to say, if I'm handing this to you, I'm gonna at least take it and evaluate it and choose to take it or not. And I respect you enough that if I try to hand it to you and you like, that's not my ministry, I don't want that, letting it go. Which is what that whole thing about, she keeps bringing the same thing up over and over again, which is why I say it's easier to find a more compatible person than it is to try to learn to live with someone you're not compatible with, which kind of sucks if you're already married in a relationship. And I don't want to say there's no hope, but I say that to people who are single. It's so important that you are matched compatible wise, because it's easy to get booed up. It's very hard to be happy with your boo. Oh my gosh. So look, so I really want to get into that. Like, how do you discover yourself? How do you identify toxic relationships? A lot of times there are relationships that have been in your life all your life, and you feel like it's taboo to end that relationship. Well, guess what? Some relationships are toxic. It could be your mama, it could be your daddy, it could be your sibling, it could be your cousin. And I'm not saying you get to the point where you're ignorant and you cuss them out. It just might be you might restrict their access on your life. Because when you're in that period of trying to develop yourself and understand who you are, you have to cancel out all the noise and the pressure that you have. And the reality is, let's just say, for example, if your mom is needy and she's overextending and you're a grown man and she's treating you like you're her husband, and she's asking for things like you're her boss. If that relationship is inappropriate, I don't want people to feel so trapped, like, but that's my mom. No, you need to recognize your boundary. And guess what? She might be manipulative, as unfortunately a lot of women are. Women, I think, are more manipulative, where she will then go, oh, you need this from me? Well, then I'm going to pull back on this. And that's manipulation. So I want to unpack all of that, not to go into a tangent, but I want to give people the things to look out for. So this is I'm going to put you on the spot invitation to come back at some point.
I'm more than happy to come back.
Yay! Did anyone else want to say anything before we go?
I have something. Yeah. When it comes to, you asked advice for women, right? One clear thing I would just share with women is not to settle. You know, a lot of times people, or women in particular, can feel like they're under a lot of pressure when it comes to what they want and what they're looking for in a man. And other people will try to say, well, your standards are too high. Yes. You shouldn't want that. Or why would you want this and want that? Look, nobody can tell you what you should want. It's your life. So what you want is what you want. If you are a woman who wants a man to have a certain financial status, that's what you want. If you're a woman that wants a man to have X, Y, and Z together, that's what you want.
If you want side teeth,
someone else may not feel that's necessary. That's for them. But they can't put that on you. It's at the end of the day, it's your life, and you are the one that's going to be in this relationship. You can easily be in any relationship, but that's not the goal. You don't want to just be in a relationship just to be in a relationship. You want to find something that's meaningful. You want to find something that is going to equally bring value and nurture your life. So know what you want, have your standards, and believe God to find that. And that's yours. Keep it. Don't settle. Don't just give up your standards because and succumb to the pressure of what other people think your standards should be.
Can I say something to that very quickly?
And I was going to say, I wonder if you're going to say what I think you're going to say. Go ahead.
Okay. So I agree, but we have to first start off with a value list, not a checklist.
I was just going to say, okay. Yeah. Preach. Bring it home.
So from that perspective, it is your choices will either have consequences or results. So yes, you can have whatever standards you want. As a man, you can say, I want her to be 6'3" and she gotta have these
size 12 waist.
You are reducing your pool of available people to be in your life and bring joy and fulfillment for every check mark you apply. So yes, I absolutely agree. Have standards, but understand that those standards can have results or consequences, and check things through your lens of your challenges and core beliefs. So if you were taught, not you obviously because you're a man, but as a woman, if you were taught,
I feel you, bro. I feel you.
if women were taught that to be a man, you must provide 100% financially. That requires you to have a certain salary, and you say, well, I'm only going to date a man who makes this salary. All right, that's number one. And then you were taught that the only thing that was good was tall, dark, and handsome. So now you're looking for a dark-skinned brother who's above 6 feet, who makes a lot of money. Do you know the percentage of men available?
Right.
That's a very small pool. Yep.
Now you went from being able to capture goldfish to trying to capture a great white shark. So yes, ladies, have your standards, but first have a value list before you have a checklist. So you can ensure that what you're asking for from an internal spiritual perspective. Because now we're not talking about money. Now we're talking about the spirit. Does your spirit really say, girl, he got to make 3 times more than I do to be qualified for me? I'm going to be candid here. It is 7-1. It is 7-1. Let's not pass up the good guy who makes enough money for a guy who makes more money because he meets your checklist versus your value list.
And I would 100% agree. And I like how you call it values, because I feel like there are certain things as a core. There are preferences and then there are deal breakers. So to me, my deal breakers, I'm not compromising on. I would rather be single than be with someone I don't line up with. And I feel like those.
I'm glad you said that, because what's the worst case scenario if a man does not meet your value list? Okay, you remain single. That's not a bad thing.
Right.
That's not a bad option.
Compared to the alternative.
To remain single.
Yes.
Than to settle. It's nothing wrong with being single. It's, you know, with single people, we're not some diseased, lesser human people. You know, it's nothing wrong. It's great to be. It's great
told like this.
Yeah. You are as a single. We are complete. We are whole.
Yeah.
It's nothing wrong with being single. It's best to be single than to settle. And of course, what you said, of course, there's balance to all those things. I'm sure most people have deal breakers, and then they have certain things where, okay, well, there's a certain range and leeway when it comes to things that they're looking for.
Do you believe,
those are all great.
Do you believe that there are some people who are single that are not okay?
Absolutely. For sure.
Like they're not okay, peace within themselves, okay, you mean?
It's more bravado, right? I'm not single. I'm choosing to live my life, and I'm not going to. I hear this all the time.
Yes.
I'm not going to settle.
Yes.
Again, and I'm not asking anyone to settle, but if you would prefer to be alone than to have a good man in your life and he doesn't make 6 figures, I'm not going to tell you what you should do. I'm simply saying that you are making a bed that's kind of lumpy.
Yeah, I think we would all agree to that. Yeah, we would all. Yeah, that's a lofty check. You know, you got to have exactly this amount of money. But for a woman that says, you know, I want a man that can provide for me.
But what does that mean? Let's unpack that very quickly. I don't think we actually.
It's different. It's different.
Yeah, I think it's different with each person, but most people don't even ask one question.
Right.
Like, we don't say, well, what does that mean?
But I said the same thing about leaders. I said people always talk about they want a leader, and I'm like, well, can you give an example? Can you give one example of leadership? Or the other one is submission. You hear provider, leader, and submissive, and I'm like, but give practical 2020 type examples where submission is required.
I hate that submissive thing. I hate it.
Oh, we're gonna have some good conversations. Yes, ma'am.
So we gotta first define what's a good man, because I hear good man being thrown around so loosely.
Girl.
And we gotta define what a good man is, because just because he's not verbally disrespectful and physically disrespectful, and he don't
6 baby mamas
out or whatever,
yes,
that means he's a good man. No, it's much deeper than that. So before we start to unpack missing out on a good man, we have to first define what a good man is.
Girl. And I would say,
so we can say to whom and for whom.
Right, exactly.
You can be a good woman, but not
for me,
or not for me.
Yes.
So
and that's why I like the rises.
Or a good woman.
That's why I like that rises acronym that I was saying earlier about the spirit broke down with the recreation, the emotional, the spiritual. When you have that compatibility, I remember, like I said, there was a guy I dated and he complained that I was too affectionate. He literally was like, my God, like every time I walk by you, you have to touch me. And I'm like, duh, that's my love language. But
that would be a dream for me.
That's my point. So to the next guy, he's upset that his person's not touching him enough. So it's like to each his own. One person's like, my God, she doesn't shut up. Then somebody else is like, my God, the other chick was a mute. Like I would get one-word answers, and they're sitting up all night talking with me. So it really is subjective. What is good for you might not be good for the next person. And that's why I think it's important for you to identify, like you said, TC, identify who you are, because identifying who you are is also discovering what you like and what you have to handle. For me, I realized I need a talker. I will die. I would rather be single than be with a dude who gives one-word answers. I can't. I need a stimulating conversation. I'm a sapiosexual. I need physical touch.
I talk too much like a woman.
See? And I hate that. I hate it when somebody says, you guys, I feel like this is a sign of a toxic person. I hate it when people make blanket statements. You are wrong. You are bad. You are to this and you're not enough of this. No, you are not right for me. TC doesn't talk too much. TC might talk too much for Shaniqua, but he might talk just the right amount for a Yonci or a Yonci type. Somebody who is like bouncing off the walls with energy might be a spaz to one person, but to me, I'm like, yes, let's get it. Like, let's go do it. It's just about compatibility. And my parents talk about this too. My parents are biracial. My mom is white. My dad is black. They could not be any more different. They have core values that are the same as far as like spirituality and their moral code and things like that. But when they both talked about skating, which is a funny story of how they met, my dad meant roller skating. My mom meant ice skating. Like my mom would love to sit in the house and knit. My dad would love to turn up, have skate parties across America. My mom is like, cool, it's cool to talk every now and then. My dad will talk to you all day long. I don't know where I got it from. So they are so incompatible, and it's constant compromise. Like, I'd rather stay in, but I'll go out with you. I'd rather shut up right now, but I'll talk to you. And I find like that's just an unnecessary cross to bear. And I can't stress enough to people who are not booed up. Wait until you find that right person. And I will add the spiritual aspect to it because, I do subscribe to faith in God. If you have faith, and whether you believe in the universe or whatever, I believe that what is for you is there. And I feel like if you haven't met that person yet, it is a yet. You just haven't met that person yet. And there's a reason why the timing hasn't happened. And it could be because you're still in development, or it could be that your mate is still in development. Yeah. And you can take a piece in that, knowing that if what's that? Hey, you can take a piece in knowing that you're either under construction or your partner's under construction. I use this analogy a lot where I talk about the cake. Okay. You said at the beginning, and I say the same thing. You have everything, or I think you said it just now, Cornelius, that you are good enough. You are complete. You have everything that you need. I'm kind of paraphrasing. And I equate it to somebody having all the ingredients. You got the egg, you got the flour, the sugar, the nutmeg, the icing. You got everything you need. And life is the oven. There is a process, but you might be in different stages in the process. So maybe you're at the place where we just set all the ingredients on the counter. Or you might be in a place where we've begun to mix everything. Maybe you're at the place where you've been poured into the pan. Maybe you're at the place where you've been baking. Or maybe it's 2 minutes before the oven dings. Or maybe you're out of the oven, but you haven't cooled yet for the icing to be applied. When you are cooked thoroughly, you have had the time to cool off, you have been iced, now you're in a position where you're ready. And I feel like that's when the universe or God or whatever you want to call it allows your two worlds to intersect. And I've said this before, I have met people who I know for a fact if I met them 2 years prior, I would have passed up. They will tell you I was a hot mess. Yonci 2.0 or 1.0, hot diggity mess, okay? Yonci at 23, 24, 25 is not the same patient, non-self-centered. I have leveled up. So you really have to hold to that belief that if there is somebody, if you have that strong desire, it is for you. I don't believe that we as humans have strong desires that don't come from somewhere divine. If I really love to talk, I think there's a reason why, because God's going to put me in a platform where I run my freaking mouth, you know?
There you go.
So
there you go. That's good.
You got to take faith in that. I want to say this. Javon says to all the guys on this panel, great job. You really represent us as a man, especially the Black man, in the proper way. That melts my heart, you guys. Last side note, and I'm let the next person speak, but I have such a passion for the Black community. It's not that I don't care about other people, but I have such a passion for the Black community because there are so many residual effects of slavery, so many residual effects of racism, so many different things that have come in and broken up our families as units. And my desire, I can go to be with God at the end of this life, peaceful, knowing that in some way, shape, or form, I help to bridge the communication gap, especially with my people, because I feel that there is such a desire for men and women to come together, but we are so lost when it comes to the how. And so my prayer is that I could be used, and my platform could be used in a way that I can bridge that communication gap, because even in the discussion that we were having, Kim, I don't know if you're still on there, but even with that discussion, at one point, it got a little intense. Like, I'll just use the neutral term intense. It got a little intense. There can be ways of communicating and habits that we have that can be to our detriment if we just don't know how the other person operates. Or sometimes we hear something that's not being said, or, read into something. There's so many levels to understanding each other. I think that the only way we can achieve that goal of being on the same page is to keep doing this. So I appreciate you guys. Mm-hmm. Did anybody else have? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, love.
No, it's good. We gotta stop. Like a lot of people, women, going back to being single, we get haunted so much about being single. And it took me years to fight through that and to really be comfortable being single. We have to stop using that as an insult.
Oh, as a weapon, yes. This is why you're single.
And I know people say words don't hurt, but words definitely affect us. Like, you can front all day like it doesn't, but using it as an insult is the reason why so many women feel like they have to have somebody.
Yes, there's something wrong with you if you're single.
Right.
So I think, it's important to promote being single, because that is when you're most transformative. This year I haven't, and I'm just being transparent to the TMI, I haven't had sex in exactly 1 year and 3 months to the day.
But who's counting?
I'm counting. 3 months, a year and 3 months. I've been in this relationship about the same amount of time. And when I tell you, like, it was hard at first, but it was the most transformative year of my life. And so I'm learning a lot about myself, and I'm looking at being single as a plus, not as a plus against relationships, but as a plus that when I do meet that person, I'm not jaded, I'm not bitter, I'm not hurt, but I also don't put up with bullshit. You lie, you're blocked.
Know your worth, queen.
There you go.
No,
low tolerance.
I think that is so good. And I totally agree with you on the condescending dialogue. Even when people say, oh, why are you single? It's like nobody would say, oh my God, why are you black? You know, it's like people have to watch their words. And I also
respond to that.
Please.
What, I'm black?
I'm sorry, friend. I hate to break it to you. But I feel like even like the media and things like that, there was this movie Napoli Ever After, and people loved it. I was appalled by this one scene. There was a scene where the woman, you know, had her heart broken and whatever, blah, blah, blah. And the mom and dad are in the kitchen with her, comforting her. And the mom or the dad was like, one day you're going to meet your guy and your life will begin. And I was like, I rebuke that in the name of Jesus.
No. And that's the problem. And that's one of the major problems. That is one of the major problems. The messaging that is pumped into us as children is why we end up in the situation that we're in right now. Men as boys, me and Yonci have had this discussion before, men as boys are not raised to be able to even be in a healthy relationship. Girls from the very beginning are taught to do everything in their power to be prepared to be in a relationship.
To get picked. And
then we're all kicked off until we're older and like, okay, you guys get together, have a family, and have at it. That's the big thing. We really have to pump into our children that they are individuals, that they are whole and complete, that nobody else makes them complete. Because what ends up happening is you look for people to complete you. And then you pour all of yourself into that person. And if that person turns out to not be the person that you thought they were, you're devastated. You're destroyed. No one should love you. No one should love you more than you love yourself. No one should be able to come into your life and make you feel better about yourself than yourself.
Yeah.
But that starts with us as children.
Yeah.
And if our parents aren't pouring that into us, then we're affected by everything that happens to us in life that's not going in the way we want it to go.
And
relationships are simple. Relationships are merely experiences that we have in life. There are experiences that we have in life where we either grow or we don't. Mm-hmm. There's no reason for me to find anger or being upset if, you know, I've been with someone for a year or 3 years or 5 years or 10 years and the relationship fizzles or ends. At the end of the day, I'm stepping into this relationship with the understanding that we've decided this is what we're going to do. And if we're working at it every day and we're communicating every day, then there's no way for us to really lose sight of whether or not we're on the same path or not. And then wake up a year later and it's like, well, who are you and who are you? Yeah. You know, like we can kind of get through things, and if we grow in different directions, as long as we're touching in with each other frequently, you know, we just grow in different directions. You know, it ain't 2 or 3 years later. It's like 3 months later, and it's like, you know what? Let's talk about this. Let's unpack this. Let's talk to a therapist. Let's have these discussions and see, like, maybe we should separate.
And I think, Chavez, I want to add this.
But that would be my biggest advice. My biggest advice to sisters is start playing with yourself. Don't look at a man to complete you.
And I think that we need to teach our daughters the importance of I call it having a life, but finding your purpose, seeking your purpose, knowing who you are, like you said, TC, knowing who you are and being so full in that. I think that, and what I thought you were going to say is something you brought up before, but men are groomed to have careers. Men are groomed to focus so much on the bag. Women are groomed to be wives and mothers and focus so much on relationships. And that's why people feel that
there's a huge imbalance.
Yes. And they also feel like relationships are transactional. Men feel like they are their wallets and women feel like they are their bodies. They feel like what I have to offer, the biggest thing I have to offer is my body. The biggest thing I have to offer are my finances. And I was talking to somebody, I think today, and they were talking about how they finally realize they are enough. They don't have to make someone like them. Someone will either like them or not like them, but you should not have to earn your partner's love. There's a difference between, yes, you do certain things to keep things going and show respect or whatever, but it should never be a, okay, what can you do? Like, and therefore, if you're not doing it, I don't want you anymore. It should be those 5 things. Oh, we are compatible, and now we feel each other, you know, in a healthy way. We feel each other. We both are enjoying each other. But somebody else said this too regarding your purpose from a spiritual standpoint. The Bible talks about it's better to be single because then you can just focus solely on your purpose and bringing glory to God. That's on the spiritual level. But if you take it just to the natural and you say your purpose, whatever your purpose is, you don't want someone who's in conflict with your purpose. So like, for example, for me, any guy that I'm with is going to have to support the fact that this is something I'm passionate about. I'm going to be traveling. I'm going to be doing speaking engagements. You know, people are going to be interacting with me online. I'm starting to be recognized already in the street. They're going to have to be okay with that. But I should know my purpose and at least be on the path of my purpose so that we have something to even like really talk about or encourage each other about. Like, you should have your own thing. I can't stress that enough. And good night, Shanicia. Sorry, I wanted to say good night to you. Sorry, I keep piggybacking because you guys I love the stuff you're saying. Did anyone else want to say anything before we close?
I want to add something.
Okay,
Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, I'm gonna be really quick, really simple. We're talking about advice toward women, correct?
Yes.
All right. This is something I see going around a lot on social media. The little post. I've seen things that a real man will automatically know, or a man will not do X, Y, Z. And if you're going through a relationship expecting for someone to read your mind and to know exactly what you want and to be the answer, so to speak, to all situations, you're going to be constantly let down. You have to communicate and talk to people about what your expectations are, and then that person has to make the decision. If that is that an expectation I want to live up to. For example, when I text you, I expect a response back within 5 to 10 minutes, or we're not compatible, from a communication standpoint. And as a man, I would say, that's a standard I can't live up to.
Right.
For me, here's a reasonable time to return a text. Or and that's a silly example, but some people.
But it makes sense. Yeah.
So I would say that communicate what it is that you want. Don't expect a man to automatically know anything.
Yeah, because all men are different. We said.
Yeah, absolutely. The second thing I would say is learn how to extend grace.
Ooh, that's good, bro.
I know that relationships, from a construct standpoint, is simple, right? A whole man, not a half man, a whole man and a whole woman get together and make them. There are 2 wholes, right? We're not responsible for each other's happiness because we're happy within ourselves. Right?
Absolutely.
We're happy for each other. But when you think about this, and I think I spoke to Yonci about this once. Think about the concept of college, right? We take 12 years, elementary school, middle school, high school, to get a high school diploma, then prepare us to go to college or technical school, right? And then you go through another 4 years of college to get a bachelor's, or 2 years for a associate's degree, or you go into trade school for X amount of time. No baby mamas and all this other stuff, and then you can. Yeah.
Hold on 1 second. They're saying it's buffering, and so when it happens, they miss that whole segment. So hold your thought, please, guys. Let me know if it's done buffering because I don't want to lose what he's saying. Thanks for giving me the heads up. It's done it like 3 times, so please don't lose your thought.
While we're waiting, there's something I put in the chat.
I saw that. Could you read it?
Yeah, it's called Ikigai. How you find your life purpose. It's a Japanese philosophy and concept. So if you ever get a chance, look that up. It'll resonate with what you were just saying.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, they said we're back, Raymond, so go ahead. Thank you, Javon.
All right. But that's pretty much it. Just give each other that grace as you continue to learn the other person and yourself as well. There's going to be times where you drop the ball. There's going to be times where I don't know who's all believers on the call, but it's like a good person in a bad season versus a bad person. So sometimes the best part of us, it being just a bad season to where we suck, right? I got this going on. I lost this person. My job left. My car broke down. I know food in my refrigerator, and I'm not my best self. I'm not bringing my best self to the table, right?
Yeah.
You may find me in that season, right, where I'm just, again, I may need a little bit of grace in that season. And if you define me or who I am permanently by the season I'm in, you're going to miss out on a blessing for who I really am, right? So just extending that grace up to things like that. So
I like that.
I think the grace extension, in my opinion, would apply more so if there's a rapport built and you're, already in a relationship. I think that, the things that you mentioned, I wouldn't expect anyone to give me grace when I'm in that state. Hell, I don't want to be involved with anyone if I'm in that state. I want to present myself as my best self. And we also have to get out of expecting people to give us grace when you have not built a rapport or established anything for that grace to be extended.
That's a valid point.
I think that's true. That's fair.
That's very valid.
Even as a woman, if I'm broke, when I was going through my job situation, I wasn't working, dating was the last thing on my mind, because just like women want you to do stuff for them, I want to do stuff for my guy. And that does require money. And we got to stop acting like money does not play a part in dating and relationships and marriages, because it does.
Right.
Yeah.
I tried to pay my rent last month in love. They wouldn't have this. I said, I pay my rent.
They didn't take that.
Let me stop playing and go ahead and pay my rent for real, because they're not setting no love.
No sugar.
So I agree with the extension of the grace, but we also have to learn to build that rapport in that relationship in order for that. Because if my guy is struggling, I'm not going, we all have our seasons. If we in it, I'm gonna support it. But do not come to me talking about some dating and you got all of this going on.
Out the gate.
Be friends.
Yeah.
I agree.
That's a good point. We all agree with
You're looking for a place to stay, not a girlfriend.
Yeah. Brothers will do that. Brothers will do that.
If too many men are willing to save a damsel in distress, then that is not a benefit to you as a person.
And it goes both ways.
Say that again. Give this man an offering. I'm telling you. I've been there.
Cash out.
Why is
this cash out?
Why is that we as men would date a woman who's drowning, right? And when I say drowning, I don't mean struggling and life happen. I'm talking about you ain't together, right? A woman won't date a man who's together. You a mess. Come holler at me when you get your life right.
We talked about that though. We talked about how men, have a certain level of importance when they spend money, and that they're taught to lead with their money. The whole provider aspect of it.
That's where the value is.
Right,
but you're saying that's where it came from.
Do that for a woman.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's not considered shameful for a woman to live with her father until marriage, but it is highly shameful to live with for him to live with his father. Did anyone else have anything that they wanted?
That's a societal norm.
Yes, it's a construct. Did anyone else have anything too? Because I don't want to bulldoze over anybody. Did anyone else have anything they wanted to add before I give my little 2 cents? Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Man, I'm about to start following TC on Facebook, Instagram. He has a new follower.
Chavez, you're really breaking up, man. He said you have a new follower. We put all his contact stuff in the comments, Chavez. If you want to read it, you can. And also, I'm going to be bringing him back on because I really like to, bounce off of people and all that. Okay, so this is what I'm going to say. We are 5 minutes from being 3 hours, y'all. Those of you who stayed and the few of you who are still on here, thank you so much for listening. I think that's awesome that you guys are still tuned in. I will say this. For the last 6 years, I have been able to do research for free, because people online have been willing to give information to me, a perfect stranger. I am so grateful. I am forever indebted. And I will say personally to you guys who are here on this live, almost all of you guys have impacted me directly, specifically. I have people, I am so grateful for this platform, especially Facebook, because Facebook is my community. Y'all know when I came on, they didn't know, but at the time I was drowning in depression. And so there was so much healing that came from my community. I have so much love for my brothers and sisters. I have so much love for you guys. You guys are amazing. A lot of you are my actual offline friends now as a result. And I just want to say, even to the people who are watching, we are all connected. You know, the world might separate us and say, oh, well, you're in this state or I'm in this state or you're a man and I'm a woman. We're all connected. We are all humans with souls and we all pretty much want the same thing. And I think that it's beautiful when we can come together. Oh, thank you, Javon. For next time he said he's going to join in. I love that we can all come together and learn from one another. And I feel like the world isn't as big and bad of a scary place as sometimes the news will make it seem. There are still a lot of really good, decent people out there. There are still a lot of really good men out here. Quite a few men on this live are single. It's your job to figure out who. But there are a lot of women out there who are good women and are single. So be encouraged. At the end of the day, be encouraged. Life is more good than it is bad. Life is about perspective. Focus on your power. Focus on the things that you do have control over. Look at the Serenity Prayer. I'm not going to butcher it because I always butcher it. Look up the Serenity Prayer, the Prayer of Serenity, and understand that you have a lot more power. Take away from the night for me, and I'm going to close with this. You already have everything within you. If you go into your kitchen, there's already eggs, there's already milk, there's already oil, there's already flour, sugar, nutmeg, spice, whatever ingredients are required for your particular cake, those ingredients are already there. Life's journey is about understanding which cake you're being baked into and understanding how to put the different pieces together in a way that works best for you. And the secret, in my opinion, to a happy life is figuring out where the intersection of what your gifts are and what the world needs, where those two come together. If you make the Venn diagram, I'm taking that from Roy Vaden from another episode of the School of Greatness in the podcast with Lewis House. But when you find out how to serve other people with your gifts, you will stumble upon your purpose. Your purpose will find you. Find your purpose, then you will find contentment in being single until the time that God brings your mate into your life. I hope that you guys are blessed. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for all your participation, and I will see you next week. Again, if you guys want to support via Patreon, it's patreon.com/Yonci. And as always, I like to end with this. Tell someone that you love them. Yeah, all right, guys, hang in there. We are logging off, guys. So for those of